We're proud to bring you this live presentation on Racer TV of the 50th anniversary of the Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series, presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. 50 years of world premier off-road racing. 50 years of battling the gnarliest woods racing on the planet. It's time to start a new chapter. The next 50 years starts now.
GNCC is back on RacerTV.com. We are in Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, the mecca of off-road racing. This is the Mason-Dixon GNCC, and it is Grant Davis coming in with an overall win. Not just an overall win on adjusted time, but a physical overall win. On top of that, it's a 1-point difference between him and the overall leader, Ben Kelly. How is it going to shape up today? Will we see a new winner at the center of the box? All that and more starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Craig DeLong, Johnny Gerard, mano y mano.
I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside like he's trying to do there.
Look at that. That is a full XC1.
Is this a NASCAR race?
Absolutely a sensational. When things get tough, look out for Jordan Ashburn.
Racing dirt bikes, it's a lifestyle. It's something where every single choice you make sets you on the path to how you're going to succeed or perform. You live this every second of the day.
Stu hauling the mail.
Stu is one of the most gritty riders out there.
Johnny out front, Caleb pushing as hard as he can. This is everything they have. That was a battle.
That was a hell of a ride by both of those men. Like he's got a cougar on the back of the bike.
Stu Baylor taking the inaugural Talladega GNCC win. Been doing a great job. Extremely patient, extremely intelligent out there, even in the heat of battle. And it's paying off for him right now.
2 wins in a row for King Kelly.
Overall leader Grant Davis, as well as your physical leader out on the course.
Checkers are records, and Grant Davis comes out on top. Your overall winner on corrected time and physically.
3 hours is a long time. 3 hours of racing is not it.
I know I can show up, and I know I can win on any given week.
Round number 8 of the 2025 season. Johnny, we are into the meat of the season. And, hey, we had some rain coming into this weekend, but Sunday, the track's going to be difficult. But these guys probably have arguably the best track of the weekend.
Yeah, anybody who tuned into the show yesterday knows that the track conditions kept getting better throughout our PM Pro race for the ATVs. Things have continued to improve overnight. We've had some wind. We've got some sunshine out this morning. And the track conditions, I think they're going to be prime.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little challenging in the early laps, but once the lines get kind of established, I think we're going to have some great racing action.
It should be good. We're coming off a great race where we saw some more. Hey, 50 years of GNCC. It's already a historical season, and Grant Davis added his name. Not just an overall win, but he got that physical overall win in a just convincing day by him in conditions where a lot of guys, even from the XC1's perspective, were, hey, it's mano a mano today. We don't have the muddy conditions where the XC2 can do that to us. And Grant Davis did that to them.
Well, Mikey, I think it was not only a statement ride in that he won the overall physically. He has 2 previous overall wins in 2024, this being his first in 2025, physically catching, passing all of the XC1 riders and doing so. But the fact that everyone agreed that was not a 250 track. Not saying that the 250 was a disadvantage, but the tracks that have been previously won on by XC2 riders, a lot of the XC1 guys, and frankly even the XC2 riders, talking about, this really was a 250 track. Wasn't the case 2 weeks ago at the Hoosier, and I think that's a big statement. And if he wasn't already in the heads of not only his fellow XC2 competitors, but the XC1 riders as well, he definitely is now.
He is focused heavily on the national championship in the overall, and the XC2, I guess, would come with that naturally. But the man who still has the points lead, albeit 1 point coming into today, is Ben Kelly. A lot of pressure on him, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben's kind of, at this point, really carrying the flag for the XC1 guys, being the only rider that is ahead of several at this point now, XC2 riders atop the standings. So he's carrying the flag, but also he himself, I don't think at this point it's a pride thing, XC1 versus XC2. Ben Kelly wants to win races, and to him, winning races means overalls. He's one of those guys that talks about, he doesn't talk about XC1 podiums. He talks about his overall finish position because he lined up here in 2025 to win an overall championship, and that's what he's going out on the track today and every race so far, and the 4 or 5 that we'll have left after this weekend, that's his goal. And we had a chance to catch up with Ben and kind of get his thoughts on how things have been going and what he's expecting out of today's race.
Yeah, I did the best. I knew Grant he was already close before I was even in the lead, and I knew he would be coming on strong there at the end, so I just kept doing my thing, but he slowly reeled me in, and yeah, second on the day is what I was able to manage. But if you look at the race in total, it's not like I just had to be a little bit better in certain sections, like just a little bit faster each lap. When the lap's about 25 to 30 minutes, like, yeah, you can find 10 seconds. So, yeah, I'm not too bummed about it. Just, obviously I wanted to win, and yeah, it sucks to let him get it from me, but it's all good. Still a good points day, and yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to battle with him. He's keeping me honest, keeping me working hard, and pushing throughout the whole race. So it's good.
Well, great to get Ben's thoughts. Obviously, kind of the exact same focus as Grant Davis. I think the difference between the two, one, obviously Ben has more experience, and Ben is a national champion. He has held that #1 plate in the XC2 and in the XC1 class. So while I think there's pressure on Ben, I think Ben, maybe comfortable is not the right word, but he's in a good spot. He knows what he's capable of.
And I think there's another interesting dynamic here with both of these riders being training partners throughout much of the season and having a lot of respect for each other.
Yeah.
Yes, when they get out on the track, they're determined to beat each other and everyone else on the track, but the reality of it is, like, there just doesn't seem to be the animosity. There doesn't seem to be the the sense of entitlement, like, I should be beating this guy. Like, I think they both have a lot of respect for each other, and I think it's really providing some excellent racing, and it's exciting to watch.
There's another guy under that KTM tent, the Landers side of things, Angus Reardon. And we've said it many times, Johnny, if this were any other season, if Angus Reardon was sitting third in the points as far as a national championship is concerned, we would be talking about him till we're blue in the face. But there is that guy, Grant Davis, in front of him. But nonetheless, Angus, sensational.
Absolutely. And Cody Barnes as well. So many of these
Cody
XC2
as well.
guys, but Angus, obviously the closest to Grant right now. And, these guys are clicking off overall podiums week in and week out almost at this point. As you pointed out, third in the points. This is, would be absolutely spectacular if it were any other season except for the time that there's that other guy ahead of him, Grant Davis. And that's got to be leaving a little bit of a bad taste in his mouth. And he wants to be the one who's talked about.
That's absolutely correct. And speaking of Angus Reardon, we had a chance to catch up with him as well.
I got a good start last week. I just crashed off the start and then sort of put me in 4th place and sort of lost that toe a little bit on Grant. I just got to start right up beside him and get the toe along and not just make any of those stupid little mistakes and being there until the end. A bit was going on. I had Cody right behind me basically the whole race. It basically came down the last corner. I thought he was going to get me up the inside. I could hear him, but that was a bit stressful. And then Grant was able to pull away from us too and then obviously get the overall. So hopefully I can have a crack today.
Very cool to hear from Angus Reardon, get his thoughts. I just feel like that win is coming for him. I don't know overall. I'm not saying never because we've seen it so many times at this point, but it's on the horizon for this guy to get a little more love post-race.
Absolutely. He's working hard. He's hungry, and he's. You don't want to say he's due, but
sure.
I agree with you. I think it's just around the corner. Maybe he'll be the one standing in the center of the box at the end of the day today, but a cool thing about this track is we've had a lot of different winners. It's not been a place where one rider dominated. If you look back over the last 5 years,
5 different winners.
Is it 5 different?
5 different winners.
5 different winners. I know.
KR in 2020, Stu Baylor 21, Ricky Russell 22, Craig DeLong in 23, and Johnny Gerard, who eventually became the champion in 2024. So maybe a repeat over the last 5 years. All 5 of those guys still active, although Gerard, I believe, still not racing.
Well, interestingly enough, I think if you look at it the last 2 years, the rider that's won this race
wins the national.
Won the title.
Very good point.
That's a little extra fodder, a little extra motivation for these guys today. If you win the race, you're giving yourself a chance to three-peat for the guy who wins the Mason-Dixon, wins the national title.
Ooh, a lot at stake today. Man, cannot wait for that, Johnny. We've got a great race today.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely absolutely phenomenal. I know that the conditions are going to be challenging, but we absolutely expect them to improve as it's on, and it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Cannot wait for it. I got to head to the start, man.
All right, well, we're going to let our man Mikey Waynes head down, do some 10-second calls. We'll be back with all the racing action live right after this on Racer TV.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
It's bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVNC.com. Get ready.
We're not on really much of a delay. We're actually, I believe, waiting on Ryan Eccles, our trail boss, to come down for a course description. But in the meantime, while we wait on him, we're going to turn the microphone over to our event director, Mr. Tim Cotter. Tim?
Well, thank you, Mike. Hey, welcome to Mason-Dixon. Again, we are live on Racer TV all around the world. Folks are tuning in to what was a mud fest yesterday, but it's tacking up quite well here today at Mason-Dixon. Hey, those of you that are coming to Snowshoe that are here and also listening at home, we do want to remind you that our gates will open on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Wednesday at 10 a.m., do not take your RVs, do not take your rigs up on the mountain prior to Wednesday at 10 a.m. Make sure you go through the gate at the bottom of the mountains, and we will get you parked up there on Wednesday. Those of you that have parked down on the ski resort, the slopes, the building there is under construction and the parking lot is blocked off. And so it's going to be very challenging to get down on those slopes. There was only half a dozen of you down in there. We will do the best we can. You'll have to get with Big John. There are only certain hours of the day that they're going to let us through the construction zone parking lot, so keep that in mind. And then on Monday at 1 o'clock, we are having a Blackwater reunion in Davis, West Virginia. That's right. We're going to celebrate 50 years of the Blackwater 100 and 50 years of GNCC racing. And so we encourage you to join us over at Davis, West Virginia. That's Monday, June 23rd, after Snowshoe. And bring your bikes, bring your buddies, and we're going to line up on Main Street as if we were starting the Blackwater 100 again. We will have pizza and drinks down in the Riverside Park adjacent to the starting line area, and we will reminisce about the Blackwater 100. So we hope you'll come over and join us for that. Have a good one here. I think Ryan Eccles just did show up, and so Ryan is here to tell us all about the racetrack. And I'm hearing the radio. You guys are in good moods. Did you get the honeybees taken care of?
No, they're still there. We just went around them.
You went around. There's a swarm of honeybees. You want to know what live events do? The gate was just dropped. Riders were going out. We got a call on the radio saying, hey, we got a swarm of bees out here. What mile marker what?
11.
11. So you guys, they were on track. We had a swarm of bees. The racetrack was going right through the bees. And so our team was scrambling to divert everyone, or we would have had Tommy Boy all over again. The bees, the bees, the bees. So let's go to Ryan Eccles. Where are the bees now?
I suppose they're still there, but these guys don't go by the bees, so they're just there for spectating. Yeah, guys, you got a good mix of trail out there. You're going to have to be careful this first lap, or you will get stuck in some of those holes. You really got to be aware of some of the lines that started to go away. So you guys are taking off from the start here. Just like good morning, everybody. You'll head into the woods. A little piece of field there. You guys will make a left, go across that pond dam there, right. That'll take you back up just after the 12-mile mark. A little bit of trackside, another little piece of woods back out in the more field trackside stuff. You guys will bypass the finish line that first lap, head up past the 1. That stuff out through there, guys, that's pretty good. So you 1, back up into the trackside, in and out of the woods there a couple times to 2. And you guys will go all the way to the front gate. So we're going to put that extra piece in there. Make sure we keep you guys right there at that 6-lap mark. So you'll go all the way down the front gate, back up over the hill, all the way over to 3. You guys all been out bicycling, so you know that little bit that we changed. It takes you over to check point 1 there. I'll bring you back around. You guys have to go up that hill after the check 1 there. So going around it, you guys can't go around it. The camera's at the top, and they want to see you guys coming up it. So you guys are going up the hill. You guys will come back by that tall fence again. Into the cow pasture past the 4. All that stuff, 4. You guys won't see the 5. That stuff's all good out through there. Nothing too bad out through that. So you won't see the 5. You come back around. Like I say, all the stuff on this side is still pretty darn good. So down to the 6. We did that little change out there this morning. It's pretty good. There's no ruts or nothing on that one. Should be good. 6. Back down over the hill. And then it starts getting a little bit more challenging after that one. So get down over the hill. Like you say, you have about the 6.5, 6.7 option. If the main line gets clogged up, you can go right and go up those steeper hills, but the morning really didn't have much trouble with that one. You get up over that, past the 7. When you guys come from there, there's 2 lines. You can do what the main line that was always in, right there, like where the quads kind of kept blowing it out yesterday, that first dip. You can go that way up onto the road, turn right, or you can go left early and then get on the road and go all the way around. That way it's probably a little longer, but a little easier to do. So after you get out of that, you make a right. You'll come around that whole tow road past almost like the 7.4. You'll get back on the track there. After the 7.5, you'll run that bike-only piece. I'll go down, back up. And from the 8 on, guys, be careful. There's a couple ruts. When you're coming around those corners, it looks like you can rail around them. It's a good rut coming around. On the other corner, it's 2 or 3 foot deep. So pay attention that first lap. So you'll get through that, back past the 8, and a really, really hard spot for you guys. You'll figure it out. The morning got through it. When you get past the 9, that's going to be a challenge right there. So for after the 9 until you get up by that tall fence again, you guys will get through that little muddy area there, we'll call it. Back over the hill, you get on another little fresh bike-only piece there, bring you over. You just missed the 10-mile mark. You're just coming out on the other side of it. Back out here and a little bit of trackside stuff. And you guys will change down here. You'll come back up, come backwards on the start, do this wood section here behind us, through the pro pits, and it'll tie you back in. So you guys are still, heck, you're really still about 11 miles, 11.2 or so. Should be good, but like I say, there's a lot of deep mud holes that showed up out there. Please be careful that first lap.
Racers, now that you've had an opportunity to inspect the race course, have heard the race procedures and a description of the race course, if you feel that either you or your machine is not prepared, then now's the time for you to withdraw for a complete refund of your entry fee. No questions asked. It is your responsibility to operate your machine in a safe manner, maintaining control at all times. Extreme caution is required when approaching areas with a high concentration of fans. Do not take unnecessary risks that endanger the safety of fans. You will be penalized for reckless racing. Fans. Due to the nature of GNCC racing, there is no fence barrier around the race course. It is your responsibility to keep yourself and your children a safe distance from the race course. Never turn your back on oncoming racers. Use extreme caution when crossing the race course. And remember, stay off the racetrack. For the safety of everyone, unauthorized drones are prohibited and will be confiscated. Finally, unauthorized pit vehicles are prohibited and may be confiscated. Motorcycles, minicycles, and electric mountain bicycles with a throttle are prohibited. Absolutely no pit vehicles permitted in the woods or on the racetrack. Crew members are prohibited from using pit vehicles during the race. Thank you for your cooperation. Have fun and race safe.
Well, thank you for that once again. Voice of Griff Cotter. And with that wrapped up now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask for your continued undivided attention with your machines shut off, as we will now turn the microphone over to Mr. Ricky Towery to lead us in a word of prayer. Ricky.
Thank you, Mikey. Hey, let's go to the Lord this afternoon. Let's have a word of prayer together. Heavenly Father, once again, we do thank you for bringing us all together safely. You blessed us with such a beautiful day. The rain fell earlier, Lord, and there's still some slick places out there. We just ask you to watch over these riders, Lord. You'd keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. We thank you for the landowner for letting us use this property to have some fun on. Continue to bless that family. And our military men and women, they're in all places of the world right now, but they're watching over us and they're keeping us safe. Be with them. And be with our leaders that they would make the right decisions for us. Lord, be with our local policemen, firemen, and paramedics, and all our communities across the United States, serving to protect us every day. Be with them and their families. Lord, we all just be so thankful we're out here having fun together. There've been a lot of good memories made here. We just ask that maybe this afternoon there can be a few more made. And then we'll start heading down the road going home. Take us all home safely so that one day we can get back together like this and have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Ricky. And now as Ricky Towery will begin to make his way over to turn number 1. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, please stand at attention. XC2 guys, if you're able to step off your machine, step up to that XC1 line. Lead us by example. And as for the rest of us, again, please stand at attention. Remove your hats and cross your hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, who whose broad strides and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
All right. We are just about ready to set it off now. But first, we want to introduce our starting row for the XC1 Pro class. Riding to the line in accordance to points, the number 530, a rider out of Connecticut, riding aboard the FMF Red Bull Factory Racing KTM, Ben Kelly. Up next, the 198, a rider out of New Zealand, where they don't have kangaroos, by the way, riding aboard the AM Pro Yamaha, Liam Draper. Up next, the 514, out of South Carolina, riding aboard the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Racing Team, Green Kawasaki, Stu Baylor. Up next, the 557 out of Boonville, North Carolina, riding aboard the AM Pro Yamaha, Caleb Russell. Up next, the 342 out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, riding aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Craig DeLong. Up next, the number 8 out of North Carolina, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda, Mike Wachowski. The number 7 out of Denver, North Carolina, riding aboard the Liqua Moly Factory Racing Beta, Josh Strang. Up next, the number 3 out of Livingston, Tennessee, riding aboard the Flat Rock Motor Club Factory Racing Gas, Jordan Ashburn. Up next, the 212 out of Duval, Washington, riding aboard the Enduro Engineering backed Triumph, the rough and rowdy Ricky Russell. Up next, the 178 rider out of Australia, riding aboard the Palmer Motorsports Troy Lee Designs backed Husqvarna, Lyndon Snodgrass. The 314 out of South Carolina, riding aboard the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Racing Team, Green Kawasaki, the Grizzly, Grant Baylor. The 989 out of Williamstown, West by God, Virginia, riding aboard the Racecraft Racing Team backed KTM, Bad Thad Duval. The 336 out of Elkin, North Carolina, riding aboard the Lycon Services and JDP backed Honda, Ryder Lafferty. the 913 out of Monson, Massachusetts, aboard the Gregory Excavation and Motorsports Performance Coach back Yamaha, Brandon Gregory. The 611 riding aboard the Honda, Jack Manta. And last but certainly not least, the 328 out of Florida, riding aboard the My Power Sports TF Racing suspension backed Kawasaki, Jesse Ansley. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here at the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. And just a reminder, all spectators must be behind the white stringer line. All spectators must be behind the white stringer line. Thank you, guys. Outside of authorized personnel and media only. There's your legal statement for you on an overcast Sunday in June 1st. And I woke up and had to put like 3 layers on. I'm not happy about that, but I am happy it's race day. All eyes will fixate to turn number 1. I know what you're thinking at home. Isn't this where you say, hey, remove the meat, you know, that whole prompted circumstance? We got a head nod from Ricky. The meat is stationary. And Ricky Towery now lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Parts Unlimited, Mason-Dixon GNCC Racing, a Landers KTM holeshot award, a points lead by Ben Kelly. Liam Draperson second in the XC1, 5th in the OA, with the XC2 boys in between. And there it is, blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, as we are just about ready to roll. And I gotta ask you, Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but 50 years of racing GNCC, you are in the Mecca where you stand right here, right now, so you got to get loud and proud. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and they're off. Ben Kelly with a line up the inside, but no, the 913, oh, and they come together. It's going to be the 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass on that Palmer Motorsports backed Husqvarna, grabbing the Landers KTM holeshot award. As our riders jockey for position, out of sight, up and over turn number 3. How is the XC1 going to sort out here today as we reset the deck with the XC2 250 Pro Class? Blue flag waves, we got them shut down, and we are just about ready to go for row number 2. Landers KTM holeshot award up for grabs. Angus Reardon, Josh Toth, Toby Cleveland, Brody Johnson, T-Rex Nick DeFeo, 10 seconds. Hunter Bush, Michael DeLosa, Dakota DeVore, Jason Liscombe, Trevor Maley, Jack Walker, Grant Davis, and Cody Barnes. Woo! Front row seat for that one. That's how we like it. Oh, a little dab by Gus Reardon. And oh! They're saying, all right, the number 1, Grant Davis. Look at that side-by-side with Angus Reardon into turn number 3. The advantage goes to Grant Davis as they duck out of sight, and the race is on. 10 seconds. XC3 125 Pro-Am Lojack Cycle Sales Holeshot Award up for grabs. James Simpson, Isaiah Brown, Rayleigh Messer, James Jenkins, Robert Wise, Jason Crawford, and J.J. Jonathan Johnson. 337, how much you want to give for it now? That is James Jenkins out of House Springs, Missouri, on that Marionville Power Sports and JDP suspension back ride, grabbing that Lojack Cycle Sales hole shot. 10 seconds. 250A, Ryan Piper, Gavin Simon, Chase Landers, Collier Martinez, Will Steven Piper, Trevor Jones, Caleb Baltimore, Keith Hughes, Lane Whitmer, Hunter Smith, and Joe Cunningham. And how about that? The 2-2-1 Ryan Piper grabs that whole shot and early lead, but being challenged early by the 587 of Lane Whitmer. 10 seconds. Open A. Samuel Evans, Kiefer Galliano, Van Adams, TJ Brown, Ty Ely, Levi Keller, Trevor Hewlin, Caleb Slagle, Zach Miles, Davin Cocker, Cole Whitmer, Keenan Rupp, Hayden Jones, and Parker Savage. 4-1-2 on the whole shot. That's going to be Davin Cocker out of Monterey, Tennessee. Getting it done early on the KTM as we will reset the deck. 4-stroke A lights. Wait on that signal. One rider with some struggles. There it is. 10 seconds. 23 riders in total. Joshua Connor, Logan Pellegrini, Brady Beerbaum, Ryan Amancio, Bryce Woodrum, Braden Baisley, Tucker Kenry, Rivers Morris, Lane Smith, Keegan Needler, Ty Mills, Caleb Wood, Brody Amos, Briar Menace, Jakes Fustini. Oh, Caleb Wood stole his lunch money right there from Brody Amos. Amos trying to take the lead back and does for the second. But Caleb Wood back out in front with the lead. Vet A, 30 plus. 10 seconds. Robbie Norwood, Corey Armstrong, Michael Tarasco, Cody Rollison, Rich Sapor, Josh Lewis, Max Freeze, Matthew Perry, Danny Hoff, Andrew Loudermilk, Gregory Funk, and Shane O'Banion. Kawasaki out in front. That's going to be the 1-3-1 of Corey Armstrong out of Kaiser, West Virginia. Grabbing that whole shot and early lead right there. Some troubles for Cody Rollison. Back up on two wheels and rolling, but some time to make up. 10 seconds. 150A, Michael Meyer, Colby Goodman, Jack Whalen, Ryder Segedy, Cade Stats, Jacob Service, Easton Uplinger, Arson Brogner, Joe Shriver, and Braden Hashman. 2-2-3 on the bike, 4-3-3 on the helmet. That's going to be Cade Stats out of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Getting it done on the beta machine. Looking good, looking smooth. As we reset here with a Junior A, 25 plus. 10 seconds. Russell Smith, Justin Murphy, Shane Wicker, Deshaun Horton, Joshua Thack, Aaron Higgins, Corey Jordan, Andrew Boggs, and Braden Moore. Drive on the inside by Andrew Boggs. Little dab right there, but it's a 4-1-6. Out in front on the helmet, that's going to be the 379 of Deshaun Horton on the gas out of West Virginia. 10 seconds. Senior A, 40 plus. Frank Messina, Pete Petrucci, Fernando Pino, Joe Marsh, Miss Leno Batista, Matt Sorgi, James Bauer, Wade Skidmore, and Darren Darmos. Good and clean right up the gut. 8.5 on the machine. It's 8.5 on the helmet. That's our buddy Frank Messina. Guarantee he's got a smile under that helmet. Dude is always smiling on that Riders Gold MX backed ride. 10 seconds. Open B. Nate Garrison, Cody Harding, Blake Freiberger, Dylan Kopolsky, Keegan Storms, Caden Annan, Cohen Bunch, Mark Cole, Caleb Hoffman, Davey Souza, Colton Painter, Jamison Bulliard, and Luke Thurfield. Wide around the inside, outside, going to set him up on the inside. That's the 4. I think that was a 4-3-4. Might have been Cohen Bunch, maybe Mark Cole, but I think that was Cohen Bunch grabbing that whole shot. 10 seconds. 250B, Devin Moore, Lennox Riley, Matthew Gigas, Brandon Bailey, Michael Taylor, Chad Rager, Michael Sturrock, Dylan McDonald, Samuel Tessner, Carson Kemp, Mason Kelly, Brent Howell, Gabriel Davis, Philip Likens, Mason Sakanikis, and the 428 of Mason Kelly out of Reedsville, West Virginia on the KTM. Will grab that whole shot and early lead as we reset the deck. 10 seconds. 150B. Nico Pursuti, Calvin Matthews, Devin Brown, Brandon Lewis, Levi Wilkins, Isaac Leitner, Charlie Simpson, Mario Trio Jr., Julian Loy, and Hayden Newsom. 3-5. Oh, he's got company. 4-2-5 may be credited. That's Isaac Leitner. Well, that was, I believe, the 87 on the machine. Don't have a helmet sticker on him. That was about a four-way battle going into the third turn. 10 seconds. Four-stroke B lights. Caden Clearly, Joseph Jalot, Carlo Clary, William Boggs, Maddox Moretz, Colton Barber, Colton Machtok, Matt Gray, Owen James, and Preston Horton. No doubt about that one. 3-7-4 on the helmet. Grabbing that whole shot, an early lead right there. As we reset, wait on the signal here from Ricky Towery. 10 seconds. And we're off. I believe it's our Senior B 40 plus. It is Senior B 40 plus. Larry Hopper, Brendan Hagan, Brandon Black, Joseph Late, Robert Collier, Chris Hart, Jeremy Nance. Whole shot looked like 590. That was Jeremy Nance out of Amherst, Ohio, on that Scott and Factory Connection back ride. Getting it done early. 10 seconds. Junior B 25 plus. Zach Cummins, Austin Burkmeiler, Hunter Pedro, Ryan Osterling, Austin Horst, Zachary Agnello, Sean Cochran, Judson Bogus, Jaden Schlegel, Quentin Clark, Austin Belaska, Dylan Kinsell, Zach Weaver, Walker Hirschman. Look at that battle. 5-2-5, I believe. How about 9-2-5? That was Billy Saliga out of Smock, Pennsylvania. Barely grabbing that one. What a fight. 10 seconds. That beat 30 plus. Looks like everybody's off and rolling. Jonathan Ken, Edward Layton, Kenneth Saliga, Cody Johnson, David Hall, John Keene, Joseph Ward. And that's the 4-2-4 on cue. Joseph Ward out of Morgantown, West by God, Virginia. And that is going to wrap things up for the moment. We're off and rolling, baby. The Parts Unlimited, Mason-Dixon, GNCC, Lyndon Snodgrass, the Privateer, grabbing that Landers KTM Whole Shot Award and early lead. But how's it playing out now that they're into the woods? Going to be a great race day. We're going to get in a word from our sponsors and be back here in just a little bit. This is the Parts Unlimited, Mason-Dixon, GNCC.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater Film Crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia. Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right, everyone, we'd like to welcome you back here to the 50th Annual Progressive Insurance Grand National Cross Country Racing Series. This is round number 8 of the 2025 season, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrell. I'm going to be alongside Johnny G and Zach Heron to bring you today's action. Zach, welcome back here to P8.
Man, it's always great to be right here across the street from High Point. And Mason-Dixon, a legendary site of its own here in the GNCC world, and it's easy to see why. We've had incredible racing so far, and let's show you how things are getting kicked off for this 3-hour pro start with our specialized start recap, starting off with our XC1 Pro Class. Now, take a look at this, folks. You look on your screen. Right here is the Ampro Yamaha of Brandon Gregoire, one of the newer faces here to the GNCC Series. Watch the drive he gets off of the line. Cuts off a lot of these top XC1 pros, and it circles up into the inside and going to be credited with that XC1 holeshot award. Gets a little slideways, as I like to say. And wait a second now. Taking a look where the line is at.
Yeah.
That's actually Lyndon Snodgrass that gets the holeshot award. So Snodgrass sneaks around the outside and actually going to steal the holeshot award away. We take a look now at our XC2 Pro Class, center of your screen, and you see Grant Davis, but watch Gus Reardon around the outside. Reardon hard on the throttle, but we talked about these slick conditions. Peeks around the inside, goes his teammate. It's a drag race. And at the line, we heard it credited to Grant Davis. So got to go with what the race officials call the number one. Going to grab the holeshot award and grab control of the early race lead as well. You see Cody Barnes sneak around on that Phoenix Honda into the number 2 spot. Now take a look at our XC3 class, and starting to get mighty consistent off of the line on this 125 is once again the 337 of James Jenkins. You can tell how slick that first corner is. Almost everybody sliding the back end around, but Jenkins clearly taking that holeshot out of your XC3 class. Boys, that's the relatively tame part of the track. What am I talking about? I haven't been on the track. Wait a second. Johnny G, how brutal is it really out there? It looks gnarly from the finish line. Talking to the riders on the podium, it seems crazy. Take us through what it's actually like out there.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go out there this morning and do part of the track before I decided that was not for me today. That said, the track is starting to shape up pretty well as it's coming in, but the first lap of the morning race was pretty gnarly. A lot of slick stuff. They went out. Obviously, we know the ATVs kind of polished it all in yesterday. Started to look pretty good towards the end of the race. They went out with the mini dozers. They pushed some dirt back in, making for a lot of very deep, very long ruts. There's definitely some challenging sections. If you look right here at the 9-mile marker, that is a section of racetrack that is going to play heavily into the results today. They're not able to really reroute too far around it. It's 2 valleys that you pretty much have to go through to continue the track. They've cut some new lines in, but I don't know if we have a camera shot down there, but right here at the 9, this section of racetrack here. So as we're nearly completing the lap, we might see some shakeups through there. There's about 150 ruts that go every which direction. I did see the last lap of the morning race, went back out there on the bicycle and was looking around, and they were out there with some chainsaws. They were cutting trees, but again, they're in a valley, so they can't go super wide. So this is the 9-mile marker here. I think it is actually just before this section coming up to the 9 where things are getting pretty wild. But I wouldn't be surprised from our previous camera shot to this one. I think we're going to see some big shakeups in positions in our front runners, and it is going to be a very interesting section of racetrack for sure.
And taking a look at your leaders on screen, that's from the 3-mile mark. It looks like that was still Snodgrass in the number 1 spot, possibly Gregoire in 2. Couldn't see what Yamaha that was. That's Mike Wachowski right there.
Yeah, I think that was Draper, and then Caleb Russell coming through looked like Jordan Ashburn up there. There is Grant Baylor. And this is at, I believe, this was what used to be RFMF PowerPoint. There's Ben Kelly. Here comes Josh Strang on that factory Liquid Moly Beta. There is Jack Mentha, a rider visiting with us. He has raced, I believe, one GNCC before last year in the XC2 class, now on a different machine, stepping up, running that XC1 class. So we'll see how things shake out for him today. But, man, the top riders obviously are going to be able to navigate this course with no real difficulties. Where it's going to get interesting is when they get into lapped riders, because this clay here, with the amount of rain that came down not only on Friday, we've already talked about that in yesterday's show if you were tuned in for the ATV race. I mean, Noah's Ark kind of rain on Friday, and it was already a little damp and soggy coming in. There was some rain the week leading up, and it just made this clay here in the Mason-Dixon racetrack very, very slick, and then it's running up like I've never seen here before. So when these riders start getting into lapped riders, I really honestly think we're going to see some big shakeups in running orders, position, and it's going to be a bit of a chess match today, I believe.
Yeah, and you made an interesting point yesterday. At one of our camera shots, we saw 300-400 roots maybe exposed, and you were really saying, wow, I don't think I've ever seen the Mason-Dixon dig out quite like this. We had lots of rain in the weeks leading up to this, so tons of saturation already in the soil. And walking around the pits, it almost doesn't look quite as nice as this. It is just absolute slop, but these guys have really dug down and kind of in new territory here at the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, the one thing I will say from being out there this morning and also just kind of pedaling around the property, it's very uncertain what you're going to get as far as the grip. Some of the stuff that looks really slick actually has some good grip to it. Some of the stuff that looks like it would be what we call hero dirt. You know, you think, like, this looks like a prep moto track, and that stuff is just like ice. Like, there's no grip to it whatsoever. So this area of the country and this region of Pennsylvania, the clay can just be, it's not quite as gnarly as that Ohio clay, but it's just very unpredictable. You can't always look at it and tell what you're going to get as far as grip. So I think we're going to see a lot of these riders kind of starting off feeling things out, kind of riding into a rhythm, and then we're going to see the pace ratchet up as the race continues on.
Taking a look at some of the various terrains that the riders are facing throughout. In some spots, looking a little bit nicer than others. Lots of standing water in spots. And the thing about, you think, oh, well, it's drying up. That's good. It is to a point, but it provides a whole new set of challenges, including the weight and the stickiness, if you will, about this soil when it starts to dry out. It weighs you down. You see a lot of these riders rolling to the line with foam, covering every inch of them, and all of that, like we said, it might be a little drier, but it's a whole new set of challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. If you noticed in that kind of, we had some pre-race B-roll footage there, you see Stu Baylor. He's wearing like a foam body armor. He's got, I don't even know what that stuff is, some kind of foam that, the mud can't stick to. He's got it on his chest protector. He's got it all over his bike. Definitely trying to keep the weight down, and it may prove beneficial for him here today.
Well, let's talk about the battle that we've got going on for this 2025 championship. New territory, realistically, just in... This is an overall championship battle between the XC1 and the XC2 class. Take a look at this, folks. 1 point. That's all that separates Ben Kelly from Grant Davis. Gus Reardon and Cody Barnes right there behind them as well. You have to go all the way back to 5th place, Liam Draper, to find your second XC2 rider. This is incredible to see, and like we said, we almost have to stop getting surprised about it, as it looks like that is your leaders on screen.
I believe that was Liam Draper coming through, and I don't know if we've already missed a rider or if he is all alone out front here at the 9-mile marker. Now it looks like Ricky Russell coming through on the 212 Triumph, that Enduro Engineering machine. Looking good is Ricky Russell. Just behind him,
that's Snodgrass.
Snodgrass there, and then it's Mike Witkowski on the Phoenix Racing Honda. So Snodgrass, after getting that good start, still running up there, we think, in the number 3 spot. Then it's the 557 of Caleb Russell, followed closely by Jordan Ashburn, Stu Baylor with that body armor.
Couldn't quite see those two riders there. That is
Grant Davis. He's already to the leaders. There's Ben Kelly just in front of him. That's Josh Strang just behind him. That is Thad Duvall.
Possibly Gregoire. There is Cody Barnes. Looks like Gus Reardon. Craig DeLong. It was one of the beta rides. I believe that was Josh Toth right there as well. So taking a look through, I believe that's Nick DeFeo. Still not a ton of separation, as you see. I believe that might have been Johnson going right through the puddle. Tried to check up at the last second, but pretty much the damage was done. So not a ton of space. And we even heard Ryan Eccles-Jackson in that pre-race report kind of say, hey guys, that first lap, I know you're going to want to charge, but you may want to take it a little bit easy because there might be some things that will catch you off guard.
Yeah, no doubt. And one person that we know is not going to do that is the big bad number 1 from the XC2 class. So we'll see what they're able to do here today as some more riders check in. There goes Ansley checking in, and it looked like one of our XC2 riders.
We talked about in the pre-race show, last race, not really what a lot of the top riders considered a 250 track. Grant Davis able to charge up, not only win the overall, but physically pass all of our XC1 riders. not saying that this is a 250 track, but the way the conditions are today, as you talked about, Ryan Eccles saying, hey, first lap, some stuff's going to catch you off guard. Grant Davis has that. All the XC2 guys have that benefit of the riders in front of them kind of breaking the trail. There's actually some new sections that are PM only, and I think these guys have just turned this into an art form where they sprint that first lap, they get up to those XC1 riders, and guys, we know we're beating a dead horse. We're talking about this week in and week out, but it's a storyline. When you said breaking new ground, new territory, we've never been here before. We are now in round 8 of a 13-round series, and we are looking at a 1-point differential between our XC1 points leader, XC2 points leader. Throw that all out the window. This is for an overall championship. We've never been in this position before this late in the season where a rider was this close. Yes, Grant Davis finished 3rd overall in last year's championship, but he wasn't really, it wasn't that he was out of it. He wasn't right in there in the mix for the points. Right now, if he finishes ahead of Ben Kelly today, no matter where they finish, well, as long as they finish decent, there will be a swap for the overall points, and that is to go into round 9 nearly into the summer break with an XC2 rider potentially in the overall points lead. Groundbreaking. Unbelievable.
Yeah, certainly going to be one to watch. And the impressive thing is the confidence that Davis and Davis's tent has had and camp has had for a while, saying that this is possible. Is now looks like we've got your leader on screen with that Yamaha Racing live drone all by his lonesome.
Yeah, Liam Draper. I mean, this is as close to a home race as you can get for a boy from New Zealand. He lives right here in Waynesburg, literally just over the mountain from here. You know these are the conditions. He rides all the time. Very comfortable. Was able to make some passes early on in lap 1. And like you pointed out, look at the gap he has opened up now over that second place rider, which still is the 212 Enduro Engineering Triumph of Ricky Russell.
So Russell's putting in a solid start as well. Looks like that's still Snodgrass in the number 3 spot as well.
Yep, Snodgrass making good use of that great start he got there. And now we're flashing ahead to the 11, and here comes Draper through with a little foot dab. But again, that just shows how slick these conditions are. These are some of the best motorcycle riders in the world. When they're having to dab on trail that doesn't look that challenging, you know the surface they're riding on is just slicker than grease on glass.
And look at the momentum he was able to carry there through that section, flowing here, looking very racy as he continues to lead the way. Now popping back to our second place, Ricky Russell.
And you saw Draper with a little glance over the shoulder. First I thought he was checking out everybody on Racer TV, but he's looking over the shoulder, up the hill, and probably didn't even see Ricky Russell. So that's a good feeling for Draper, knowing he's putting a bit of time between himself and the rest of the field. And these guys, just like we talk about beating a dead horse, they know at this point there's not a question, will the XC2 start to charge towards the front? I need to go right from drop because I know the kids are coming up from behind.
Yeah, it's now here comes the rest of, and there is Grant Davis already.
Wow.
Gus Reardon, no, that
I believe that was Ben Kelly in there as well.
Yeah, just in front of him.
We see some more of the XC1 and XC2 riders. Now we start seeing some more of the XC2 riders working their way through.
Cody Barnes and the boys made their way through just
Craig DeLong. There's Josh Toth just behind him, so not a great first lap for Craig DeLong there for sure.
Looks like that was DeFeo. I mean, that's a good chunk of your XC2 field right there to the back of XC1.
Here we go, back to your leader, Liam Draper now aboard his Yamaha machine here. Taking a look from the Yamaha Racing live drone.
You know, this is, obviously we're very early into this one here on lap 1, but, you know, this is the Liam Draper that we saw at the end of 2024 where he would just get off to those good starts, push the pace, and honestly there were several of those races where it looked like he might run away with it. Never converted one into a win at the end of last year, but 4 rounds in a row, his first 4 races in the XC1 class, all on the box, and we've been seeing him kind of building throughout the year here, already taking a bottle of hydration, so he's already racing well into the race, thinking ahead, thinking, all right, you know, I'm just going to sprint, try to get some hydration, stay on top of, this is a really tight little chicane section here. Look at this. As the battles get going, these guys are going to have an opportunity to look over at each other and see, look at, he can't even see riders coming the other way yet still. Now he gets eyes on Ricky Russell, gets eyes on Lyndon Snodgrass. Looks like Caleb Russell there, Jordan Ashburn, and the rest starting to slot their way through.
Man, an impressive opening pace from Draper as we circle back and try to catch.
Look at that. They are just wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel.
Yeah, it's just a freight train.
There's Russell. He's got a little bit of a gap over Snodgrass. Then it is still Russell in the number 4 spot. Stu Baylor 5th. Mike Wachowski 6th. Ben Kelly 7th, and then Grant Davis will be your overall leader on corrected time. But look at that, right on his rear wheel, Cody Barnes on the number 99 Phoenix Jordan Racing.
That's Jordan
Ashburn.
Yeah.
Yep. And goggles off, so he's going to lose a spot. That was a quick goggle change there. Only one spot lost. He does get passed by, that looks like Grant Baylor to me, and just behind them is the 7 of Josh Strang.
And then Craig.
I think that
Thad
looks
Duvall.
like Thad Duvall.
Yes, that is Thad Duvall, and looks like a pass going to be made there on
looks
Thad.
like one of the XC2 riders there. Can't tell if that's Barnes.
That is.
Yeah, I think it is Barnes. And then just behind him, it is taking a look over the shoulder there and allowing another one of the XC2 riders through. And not sure who that is, but they're way. Oh, that's Ryder Lafferty going way wide there, giving up a spot. And now he's got pressure from behind from the number.
Jack Walker looks like.
790. Okay, yep, that is an XC2 rider. I was thinking, wait, doesn't he ride XC3? But no, he is in our XC2 class this year and riding very, very well. He is actually right on the rear wheel of Gus Reardon. So Reardon sitting in the number 3 spot in that XC2 class right now, coming off of an impressive overall podium 2 weeks ago.
Look at this, way ahead. Back to our leader here, Liam Draper.
Feet on the pegs, just hammering through those rods, carrying a ton of speed. Looks like he had this mapped out. Hey, another look over the shoulder, though.
Yep.
Trying to catch a glimpse of him, but they're farther back. He's not going to be able to.
Yeah, he'll be in and out of the full finish line section before these guys even enter, so he won't see them again. And at that point, he's going to start wondering, hey, did something happen to these guys?
What's going on?
No, Liam, you're just crushing. You're putting down a heck of a sprint pace right now, and nobody else is able to match it. He may, as he leaves scoring, be able to look over, and Ricky may just be popping out of the woods. It'll be close.
So there he is, checked in now with 1 lap complete. Liam Draper.
See him take a look.
A camera shot doing a great job of showing you how off camera some of these scores are.
He wants to know where everybody's at. He's like, man, am I just riding away from these guys?
And it's funny because that's usually a tactic or something that's talked negatively about in the sport of motocross. But here it seems like all the top guys, they really do. They love knowing where the competition at and who it's at as well. You talked yesterday about different riders race differently when they know who's behind them.
Yep, absolutely. There we see
Ricky Russell.
Yep, Ricky Russell through in the number 2 spot. I think I just caught a glimpse of Josh Toth. He may have made a pass. I think he may be up to 2nd in that XC2 class. As they start checking in, we are going to give you an overall rundown, keeping in mind that this is not the physical running order on the track. And again, Grant Davis to the top of the charts. Looking at an elapsed time, he has about a 15-second lead on corrected time over Liam Draper. We'll wait and watch. Now Cody Barnes has checked in. Gus Reardon. All of those guys are your top 3 overall. Again, bumping Liam Draper, Ricky Russell, Lyndon Snodgrass, Caleb Russell back to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and now the rest of the field checking in as well. We've got some more XC2 riders checking in, but Grant Davis with a 10.8 second lead over Cody Barnes is your overall leader, and XC2 riders occupying the top 3 spots in the leaderboard right now as they run.
Man, 10.8 seconds, that's a big gap as far as our XC2 riders. We see that 3-rider freight train of Davis, Reardon, and Barnes charged to the front on a regular basis, Jackson, but to open up almost 11 seconds on the nearest XC2 rider, Grant's clicking another gear right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw it, the intensity. When you watch that XC2 start, you know, he didn't get the jump. Gus Reardon closed the door in the first turn. Grant Davis wouldn't give up on it. He just kept charging, railed around the outside of Gus Reardon in turn number 2 and closed the door right back on him in turn 3, took the lead and just dropped the hammer from there. Only 10 seconds back. It's not like he's really gotten away, but he's definitely putting in a push pace right now, and the rest of the XC2 class are charging hard to keep him in sight. Lyndon Snodgrass still hanging on to the number 3 spot and looking good. Then it's Caleb Russell in 4th. Here comes Stu Baylor in 5th. You can see that foam I was talking about. Wachowski 6th, Ben Kelly 7th, and Grant Davis on the rear wheel there and pushing hard. And we do know he is your overall leader. There's Strang, there's Cody Barnes, that's P2 and XC2, Grant Baylor, Thad Duvall, Gus Reardon.
And you take a look at our pylon here, and it's a whole lot of green at the top, almost looking like stoplight, if you will, there with the green on top. And Davis Man, it's just, like we said, at this point, we're not even shocked. It just is so impressive. And it's a strategy that these guys have talked about where I go back to that first Fan Fest at the start of the year where a lot of our XC1 pro riders, Jackson, were talking about, man, these XC2 kids are a whole new level of fitness and seriousness in that XC2 class. As you take a look at our lap times on that last lap, this isn't just based off of, it's so much easier starting on the second row. These guys are legitimately running identical and faster lap times than the top riders in the sport.
Yeah, you can't take nothing away from him whatsoever. Grant Davis is absolutely flying, and you can't take nothing away from the rest of the boys either. Cody Barnes, Angus Reardon right there, Jack Walker, Josh Toth. Josh was talking about it earlier in our pre-race report, saying he was ready to get an XC2 win, but an XC2 win nowadays means an overall win as well.
Exactly, and these guys, perfection is basically what they've got to deal with, because not only are they this fast, it's each and every round. The consistency is there as well, and that's something else that I think is almost new or newer to the XC2 class. Johnny, you could touch on that as far as the consistency and the completeness of the athletes that we find in XC2.
Yeah, having the XC2 riders, we've talked about this, if you tune in every week, guys, we get it. We're saying the same things. But there is a storyline here. We've seen these XC2 riders, especially early on, lap 1, 2, 3, we've seen them in the top 3 positions. The difference now is as they are becoming more complete athletes, they're smarter. They have more access to the same information, resources, and everything the XC1 guys do, and it just is making it to where they don't have this big drop off an hour in, 2 hours in, and even into the third hour. It used to be very common to see XC2 riders battling up overall top 5, top 3, even leading, and then as the race would go on, the XC1 guys would gobble them up. That just isn't happening anymore. And I think part of it comes with confidence. How much can we talk about the fact that once you see something done, we went all these years without ever seeing an XC2 rider win it overall, and then once it happened, it's just been like the floodgates have opened, and they're like, well, hey, if Josh Toth can do it, if Grant Davis can do it, we're just going to keep piling on. And these riders are proving that, Nick DeFeo, obviously first full-time race in XC2. I think he ran one at the end of the season in 24, but his first full-time race comes out and crushes everyone. So it's the possibility of knowing you can do it. I think it just gives you the confidence. They go out there and they're just absolutely smashing it.
And Johnny, like you said, it might feel like we're beating a dead horse, but at the end of the day, guys, we're watching history being made right here. It is something that needs to be talked about. It's well worth talking about time and time again. No doubt about it. We're seeing history here in this 50th annual season.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch. Obviously, the battle that we're seeing on screen, you want to see wheel-to-wheel battling, but when the time correction comes in, and in the case of last race, like we were watching wheel-to-wheel battling, but Grant Davis was playing with near a minute, or I think it was a minute 2, maybe even, of house money. Right now, Liam Draper on a push pace, but he's just not been able to quite match the pace of Grant Davis, Cody Barnes, and Gus Reardon behind him. Ricky Russell riding very well there in the number 2 spot, trying to track down early race leader Draper, but right now he's actually stretched out. Now you see that looks like Lyndon Snodgrass has lost some time. Caleb Russell and the rest as well. It is still Snodgrass in the number 3 spot, Russell in 4th, and Stu Baylor rounding up the top 5 physically on the racetrack. Now here comes, look at this, Grant Davis with that outside line there, inside, outside, depending on how you want to look at it, trying to get around Ben Kelly. So maybe he got the message that Liam Draper is trying to run, and he is absolutely pushing. Cody Barnes with a good push there the last couple miles, maybe even a little bit closer to the back of Davis than we last saw.
There goes Reardon, I do believe, there on the outside. Oh, inside technically. They make their way
outside to us, inside to them. Everything's reversed, right?
Yeah, Craig DeLong now going to make his way by. And want to give a shout out to Gavin Simon. We saw him there in that last camera shot. Is now Kawasaki rider going to make his way by. Speaking of Kawasaki's, got to talk to Ansley a little bit earlier, saying he's made the move up to the 450cc machine and seeing how things are going to go, possibly going to stay on that bigger machine.
Yeah, big change for him. Was a standout rider in the amateur classes, the youth ranks. Came up through, won multiple XC3 titles, and just kind of never, a rider that never seemed to mesh well with the 4-stroke. Always rode 2 strokes, did very well, and when he got on the 4-strokes, just never seemed to have the same rhythm. So maybe the big 450 will be a magic bullet for him, and good to have him out here. Obviously, one of the see, that was me this morning. No, I didn't actually crash, but that's what was going on around me when I decided, yeah, I think I'm done. It's so crazy how slick the conditions can be. All of a sudden, the rear wheel hooks up and the bike just shoots out from underneath you. I kind of felt like I was watching gymnastics, the way people were just flying everywhere.
Yeah, a rough course out there today.
Oh, and you see he goes to pivot like to plant his foot, and it just sinks about a foot right there. The
Glad he's all right.
Coming to the rescue, and yeah, glad he's all right. And what we don't see is looks like a buildup of bikes back here, and the leaders should be coming to this shot any moment now. So could start seeing the rider effects of the back end of the field start affecting this race sooner rather than later. But like you said, good to see that rider all good and back up and rolling.
Yeah, another rider there, Zach, at the bottom of the hill. And I'm sure that they're imagining, there it is, our leader making his way through.
Trying to point some lines for him. Draper doing a good job of staying on the pegs. And just like that, he's through. So a solid ride.
Draper has really broke free here in this one. Not just him, Ricky Russell's broke free as well, as a ton of time between our first and second and back to our third place there.
Yeah, kind of a tough spot there for Ricky Russell. He's in that number 2 position. Can't see Draper, can't quite pace off of him, but he knows that he's got a hungry XC1 and XC2 field just behind him. So doing a good job of maintaining that pace and keeping distance between himself and Snodgrass, because we know right behind Linden is pretty much the entirety of the XC1 and the top of the XC2 field.
Yeah, and you can see, when you see your top, oh, look at this, there is option lines here.
Okay.
So there's a straight line through. This was where we saw yesterday, remember the chaos with Wyatt Wilkin? We thought he took over the lead. That's an option line. They call that the super slow around way that we heard Hunter Hart talking about, where he thought he lost the lead. That's where Lyndon Snodgrass went. So let's see how this pans out. Does he gain ground on the riders in front of him, or does he lose position to this absolute train of riders coming through right now?
Well, yeah, if it's a positive line, he's really done something special because he's the only one that took it. But if it's bad, he's going to lose a ton of ground and possibly a ton of spots as well, because we're still in a freight train of riders as Craig DeLong, the caboose for the moment. That was probably 15 riders right there, Jackson, all wheel to wheel.
Yeah, our pro class is making their way by the XC1, XC2. And there goes one of those riders.
I believe that might have been Baylor,
deciding to take that alternate line that we were just talking about here at the Mile 5.
Yeah, and this played into the race pretty heavily yesterday. You guys had the opportunity to interview Hunter Hart. I apologize, I don't remember which one of you rock stars it was, but you know, he said himself, when I came out of there, I thought I was in third, man. I thought I dropped back. I just sprinted to the finish line. I never saw anybody in front of me. We actually saw him asking his girlfriend Olivia at the finish line, like he revved because he knew he was on the podium, and then he's like, wait, what place did I get? So this section of racetrack, very pivotal on the final lap of racing yesterday. We'll see how it panned out for Lyndon Snodgrass and the rest that took the super long way around, but easy way. The shot coming straight at our camera is the hard line.
It's going to be fun to watch as things are getting exciting here for round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon, as Grant Davis already taken over that overall lead on corrected time. Lyndon Snodgrass making the most of a good start, but it is all the Ampro Yamaha physically out front of Liam Draper. And man, Draper making the most of it, breaking away from the rest of the field. Ricky Russell in no man's land there in the number 2 spot. And then Snodgrass bringing the rest of the XC1 field, as well as those top XC2 riders already in between some of the XC1 field. How's it all going to play out? It's going to be fun to watch when we come back here to round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon, here on RacerTV.com.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater film crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia. Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Round number 8 of the 2025 season, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC. Looking at mile marker number 5.
And yeah, we've got some brothers out there doing battle and some siblings that are all throughout GNCC. And we caught up with our first set of siblings, the Johnson brothers and Brody Johnson.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty awesome to be able to say you're going to ISD representing the USA. You know, that's definitely a world-renowned event. You know, people, every top country's got their top riders there. So to be able to be picked is an honor. When I found out I was going to be going to ISD, I had to get home and go up and get the passport going, because I've never been out of the country. You know, traveled the country, all over the country, racing up and down the East Coast and, you know, out towards the Midwest, racing dirt bikes, but never outside of the country. So that's going to be something pretty cool as well, you know. So be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, you know, I think I've taught him everything I know, so he's just got to go over there and put out and try as hard as he can, and hopefully, you know, him and his team can come back as with a gold, or, you know, just even on the podium would be cool.
It's cool to see siblings at the highest level of the sport. You know, it's not something that's easy to do, and obviously we've got the Baylor siblings, and we've got several others in our youth and micro ranks as well, but a pretty cool accomplishment, and to be able to represent in the ISDE as well, you can tell that's a big honor for him.
Yeah, it sure is, and honored for us to have him out there. Going to be a cool thing, one of the Johnson boys, and they're having a good run in here today, Zach, as the 235 machine sits in the 7th place spot. And that'll make him about 6th or so, 5th there in that XC2 class.
Oh, one rider just getting caught up in that thick stuff. And that was something that we heard a lot of on the podium. You know, what was the secret to getting up on the box? What did it take? Oh, try not to get your grips dirty, because we talk about vision, but grip and being able to hold on is just as crucial. And you go down early, you get those grips wet, you get them muddy. Man, it can just make for an even longer 3 hours.
Yeah, and it comes with a lot more. You get that seat muddy, and you're going to be in for a time out here.
Slip sliding. It was kind of interesting. I thought that, like, this afternoon, in all of my wonderful wisdom and knowledge, like, these guys are going to have the best track. If you guys heard the interview with Liam, he was kind of like, I don't know, I feel like when we first got here, it was as good as it would be all weekend. So I guess it's, you know, it's glass half full, glass half empty, depending on how you look at it. But, yeah, this mud is unique, and it's tacked up quite a bit, but I don't know if that's really made it any better.
Yeah, well, and we were talking with Johnny earlier. It poses different challenges, because it's like the slop and the basically splashing around. Sure, it's muddy, you know, it's got its own issues, but it rinses off for the most part. Now you see how much it's sticking to the goggles, to the helmets, and to the machines as well, which is going to start to affect things late into this race. The bikes are going to get hot, and best believe we're going to see some riders having issues with it. So it's just a whole different set of challenges.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the mud, but these riders are going to have a little bit of everything out here. We saw some hard-packed dry sections like before the finish there. You're getting some of these muddy spots. You're getting down to some blue groove. You're down to the rocks, the roots, you name it. They're going to have to be going through it here at the Mason-Dixon.
And then these lappers as well. They'll start to become an obstacle of the track. Every single race that we've had bottlenecks, we've had issues. So Johnny even said it, it gets crazy out there, especially as you get deeper into this race. So going to be interesting to watch. Is you can see that's thick right there. There's no other way to put it. And you see, as soon as you lose momentum, it grabs you and puts you down in it. So.
And that's what GNCC racing is all about, getting the best riders in the world on some of the toughest courses that there is, putting them through the test and seeing who's truly going to be the best at the end of the day.
This guy missing a number plate. That was a good shot there at the 2-mile mark of those routes you were just talking about, how they have just surfaced.
Well, and how much that corner has changed throughout the weekend as well,
Point too.
Here we go, the mile 2. This is where, if you were tuning in for our ATV race yesterday, seeing some hectic ATV racers.
Wyatt Wilkins is probably not tuned in right now looking at this section, I would imagine, as I think that was kind of what did him in on the day. Different situation, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot different line that they have here.
Yeah.
As for the bikes, smoother section for them actually today.
Yeah, they're able to almost use that off-camber bank and rail that outside rut. So, and it just goes to show the difference between Saturday and Sunday as well. Some spots that are the strong points for the ATV side of things might be the most challenging for the bikes and vice versa. So
it does it justice. These are A and B riders for those watching at home that may not be sure just how gnarly these conditions are. Hang on for dear life.
Head swapping there.
Yeah, it's amazing to see what these guys can do. I was actually at a local race not long ago. A little bit of rain was coming down. Everybody was panicking. They were having such a hard time getting around the track, and it puts into perspective just how good these riders are. We throw them out there for 10 to 12 miles on a course like this, and they'll go for 3 straight hours.
Gnarly stuff. Grant Davis, obviously, as you guys have mentioned, doing his thing out in front. Draper there, the lone man back in 5th in that OA. I was looking for Ben Kelly. Not an ideal start for Ben. This is not where he needs to be at all. And this would put very, very early. Obviously, we're not even an hour into this one, but this would put Grant Davis, the sole leader of that points lead as far as the overall.
Well, last we saw, Grant Davis was physically beside Ben Kelly.
Yeah.
So you best believe there's a little extra motivation to get in front of Kelly, and all the rest is gravy, as they like to say, because he knows he's got that minute to play with. So. Yeah, like we said, it's new territory, and it's so exciting. As believe we're now flashing back to our leaders. There is Liam Draper at the top of your screen, and trying to see who that is behind. Possibly Russell? No?
Possibly a lap rider, but he is carrying a good amount of speed through there.
I was going to say, Ricky Russell, when he checked in, was 24 seconds back. Not to say he's not caught up with him.
Yeah, I definitely think that might be a lap rider.
Yeah.
Hey, good look through that section, though.
It was.
On the charge. I'm going to hang on to him as long as I can. Draper getting some words there on the pit board, and we'll see whether it is still Ricky Russell in that number 2 spot. And there is the Triumph machine of Russell.
And it looks like he's got some company now.
Is that Snodgrass and Caleb were behind him?
Is that Stu Baylor?
That's Baylor, and then possibly you see, is that Davis at the top of your screen? I think that's
Ben Kelly
right there.
I believe that is. Yeah, I think that's BK.
And that is the
Davis
number 1
right behind him. So Kelly's gotten back around Davis. Not sure if we actually caught him making a pass or not. They were side by side last we saw, but they have actually charged up through the field. They've gotten, looks like, around Snodgrass and Russell, Caleb Russell, that is. And then did not see Wachowski either. So
here we go. We're going to get a good view of him here, Zach.
So there is Ricky Russell, Stu Baylor just behind.
Stu Baylor on the move now.
Yeah, Baylor's clearly on the charge.
Whoa.
Then Ben Kelly, Grant Davis, Ashburn possibly.
There we go.
Decent gap opened up now. Wow, so some new faces, and you got to wonder whether any of that has to do with that big split line as well. There is Mike Wachowski.
Where is Caleb Russell? That was the rider that was right there.
Didn't catch 5.57 through there.
And that's Cody Barnes. There was Russell, Gus Reardon. So something happening there with Caleb Russell, Strang,
Baylor.
There was Snodgrass that just went by.
Ooh.
So something happening to Snodgrass that looks like possibly Caleb Russell as well.
Russell was up there just a little bit ahead.
Craig.
And we've saw it this season. Russell having a tough time in the mud, having a good start to the day. Does look like you said, Zach, having a little bit of trouble, dropping off just a little bit, but he has made his way through this mile 11, so he is still out there. He is still battling.
Yeah, we saw him just a bit ahead of Snodgrass, definitely the biggest loser of time on that, whatever happened, but some shake-up there.
Well, we're getting into it about 52 minutes now into this one. This is where we expect some changes to start being made.
So we see Stu Baylor hot on the rear wheel of Ricky Russell, with Ben Kelly and Grant Davis just behind him in tow. As they're getting ready to head back into the pit area, we'll see hydration there for Snodgrass. Looks like possibly Kelly as well, excuse me.
Kelly as well.
And that is Jordan Ashburn. Okay, so Ashburn making some moves as
Look at that man. Look at how really slowing them down.
I can't wait to see how deep the rut is going to be right there by the end of this race.
Baylor.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought Baylor hadn't made the move. Still not yet. Ricky Russell still leading this group.
So that Enduro Engineering Triumph out front leading the way.
Man, you can tell Grant Davis there at the back of that pack, the number one there at the almost bottom of your screen. He could just be patient right now and race. Keep pace with the man he needs to be in front of as far as points. Ben Kelly in front of him, and that's all he's got to do today. If he wants to. I have a feeling he's not going to want to stay there. He's going to want to move up in the OA. Physically OA, that is, but yeah, if he wanted to right now, just stick to that rear wheel of Ben Kelly and have yourself a day.
Yeah, you got to wonder what the mentality is going to start to look like for Grant Davis. We know how important this overall championship is, and as much as they tell us it's not in their head and it's race by race, you've got to, as they should, they keep that big picture in the back of their mind. And so it's impressive to see the maturity being shown right now by Grant Davis, and he has often said, I like to catch up and get into the XC1 field, then take a bit of a breather. We're still only 55 minutes into a 3-hour race, so Davis might be just chilling out a little bit, recharging the batteries, and then getting ready to go to work.
That's crazy. They are about to check in with 2 laps completed, about 2.5 minutes out from that finish line area to see Ricky Towery. But Grant Davis, your physical overall leader, Barnes and Reardon 1, 2, and 3. And Barnes, pretty obvious. He said he thought maybe about that just off the overall podium finish a couple of weeks. Maybe a little too much in his words, but the man seems focused here today.
Here we go. Draper going to make his way to the finish line now. Like Mikey said, checking in with 2 laps complete now. Here we go.
So Draper checks in, will be your leader for the moment until our XC2 guys check in on that adjusted time. Draper's the guy in the best position right now as far as like runaway and hide. The rest of those guys with the XC2 guys in right on their rear wheels. Liam's just got to go to work. He can't really worry about what's going on back there, but he has the opportunity maybe stretch this thing out and take over that overall lead. Stu Baylor with his Kawasaki green soundproof foam chest and helmet.
Yeah, that's actually us, so we can't hear him saying whatever he says during the race.
That's it. Muffles it just a little bit.
So there we go. Jordan Ashburn on screen getting a little buck there. And how about Ricky Russell aboard that Enduro Engineering Triumph machine, holding it down.
Yeah, he's really uncomfortable on that, and you got to think that's got to be cool for Ricky as well, helping develop and set up essentially the Triumph off-road kind of system here at GNCC. And man, you talk to him on mic, off mic, he has nothing but positive things to say. Really enjoys the machine, and seems like he feels at home there with the Enduro Engineering crew.
So they check in, Grant Davis in, obviously your leader on the adjusted time, Liam Draper in the second place position.
Barnes and Reardon have checked in with 2 laps complete. Now Barnes sits third, and Gus Reardon sitting in fourth. Josh Toth up into the 5 spot, and Brody Johnson, man, we just saw the feature on there. He is in 6th in the OA out of the XC2.
So Ricky Russell all the way back there in the 7th place spot as we see Draper making his way through. And look at how wide that corner has gotten. Actually, man, front and center there for our Racer TV camera. And like we said, it's what's also impressive is how much this is going to change over the next few hours, Jackson. Hundreds of bikes making their way through it.
Yeah, I expect this course to get buried deep here today. There's Ricky Russell now, Stu Baylor, Ben Kelly, Grant Davis, and Jordan Ashburn. You can throw a blanket over them.
Man, that rider's like, what just happened? That was...
I can only imagine. So Draper able to make his way back up the overall charts now, sitting in 2nd as we see Mike Wachowski on board that number 8 machine. Phoenix Honda checking in here at mile 2. 58 minutes into this, just about a third of the way through so far.
Yeah, solid ride for Wachowski, but he needs to pick up the pace a little bit and try to latch on to that freight train. Cody Barnes, there goes Caleb Russell, and then Gus Reardon as well. I do believe this is more separation than we've seen from the top XC2 riders in a while. I know on the screen it's only 2 positions with Liam Draper in between them, but it just seems like Barnes and Reardon usually able to hang on to the back of Grant Davis early, at least a little bit more.
As our pro riders make their way by there, I believe Johnson able to get ahead of Toth. We'll have to check in the other camera shot. There's Craig DeLong making his way through.
Yeah, to your point, Zach, when they checked in, 31 seconds was the difference between Davis and Barnes, and then Reardon 2 seconds behind Cody Barnes.
Yeah, but we already know Barnes and Reardon are going to be glued together.
Yeah,
that's not even a question anymore.
Yep. Some back and forth there. Note Ben Kelly up to the 9 spot. So he had picked up several on that last lap around. He was 14th after 1 lap completed, now up into the number 9 spot, but still a long road to hoe for Ben Kelly.
So our top riders have made their way by here in this one. Going to catch a glimpse of some of our A-class riders, some of our XC3.
And it just goes to show, like, you think about Ben Kelly and then you think about Grant Davis individually, both fully capable of essentially matching the speed of whatever rider they need. And then you look at the difference of the 2 of them, who are wheel to wheel on the overalls, 9th to 1st, and that is going to be the point swing that we see if they finish as they are right now. It's just so crazy to think that those 2 equaling each other on speed, but due to that adjusted time, man, it's just crazy to see what these XC2 kids are able to do early.
It sure is. As we wait here at the mile 3 marker, should be waiting on our leaders to come around. And see the 198, Liam Draper having himself a day here at the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon. So far, so good. This is what we expect from Draper after such a great showing there in 2024.
Yeah. As soon as he stepped up to the bigger bike, it just seemed like a perfect fit for him, and saw some great things out of him going to the end of the season. And we've seen some glimpses of that Liam Draper here this year as well. Honestly, he's backed it up well in what would be his first official rookie season. He's been great. I mean, I don't think Liam's got any complaints. I'm sure he'd like to be up a little further in the overall, at least as far as those XC2 guys mixing it up with them. But yeah, I think you got to be happy for Liam Draper year 1.
Well, and I think Draper, while maybe not getting the overall from the XC2, that was the pass right there.
Yep, sure was.
Baylor got around Ricky Russell,
and that's how quick it can happen.
So Russell does funnel right back in behind the Kawasaki in front of Ben Kelly. And then we saw Grant Davis just at the bottom of your screen.
Davis going for a ride there as that rear end of the machine slid out.
And Stu trying to run away now. You see really putting the hammer down. Russell trying to lash to the back of him. But I was going to say, you got to think Draper, I don't want to say feels responsible, but you think about when Draper was in that XC2 class as well. That's when they started flirting with that lead a little bit later and later into those overalls. And he's like, of course, now when I move up.
Yeah, sure. And it's crazy. I mean, it was him, Draper, and Mike Wachowski as well in that conversation.
as they make their way by just then. It did look like Ashburn was all over Grant Davis. More riders making their way by. Here we go. Grant Davis now all over the back of Ben Kelly. Here we go.
Beautiful line there from Grant Davis. Just not quite able to make the pass happen.
Well, there's the answer as to whether or not Grant would be content. Oh, all three of those. That must be deep right there. All three of those guys, little dab. But there's your answer. Grant Davis not just going to be content hanging out behind Ben Kelly. Wants to go for the pass. All right. I love it. I mean, to that point, though, like, you don't get where Grant Davis is at in the points lead by just being conservative.
Just hanging out.
Being content. Doesn't get it. Doesn't get you there for sure, especially out of that XC2 class. Paving new ground, you could say.
Oh, they have, too. It's, I mean, when the rumor mill's, off of the air and at the track and some on social media is what will the XC2 and XC1 look like next season? You're trailblazers. You make you do things like this, and suddenly they got to make the Grant Davis rule. We'll see what that looks like. Well, or maybe things stay the same. I don't know. Maybe this is a generational one-off thing, but I really don't think it is. I think this is like our new normal.
And Johnny talked about it as well, just knowing that it's possible now.
Yeah.
You see, it's not just one green number at the top anymore. We've got our top, essentially 5 riders in the top 6 out of the XC2 class. Now that they know it's possible, it's the goal that every one of these XC2 riders will strive for.
And I kind of joked with Toth earlier, like, thanks, bud. You're the one that started all of this. And, he even made the point, like, I had the one success, speaking about this season, not last, in round 1 at Big Buck. And he's like, I've just not been able to get back there yet this year. And it's not for lack of talent or trying, but, I mean, you look at the guys in front of him, Davis, Barnes, and Reardon, they're just on another level.
Yeah, Toth and all of those guys really set the stage there around number 1 for this XC2 class, going out, getting the top 3 spots.
Yeah, DeFeo, that overall win just was crazy.
And physical win especially, too. That was like another game changer where we hadn't seen it before. Draper, man, beautiful job threading the needle there.
Good job. He got around that like Liam Draper gets around a kangaroo in the wilderness.
Oh, here we go, guys, getting bottled up.
This is going to be interesting.
Bike down.
And here comes Stu Baylor.
Oh, you don't want to
look out, Storms.
Baylor.
That's the way to do it. Baylor to the outside of that machine. Now Ricky Russell checking in.
This guy says, you know what, I'm probably just going to leave it here. I don't want to.
I'm going to wait till the freight train goes by.
I don't want to give anyone an advantage. I'm going to just.
Yeah.
That was my buddy Keegan Storm there that fell over.
Come on, Keegan, you got it, brother.
Jackson's probably laughing at me right now. Don't look at the camera.
Hey, if you want to get on Racer TV, just wreck in front of the camera.
It's like at the finish line in those morning races. We give them all shout-outs.
There we go. Mike Wachowski going to check in now here at the mile 5. We do have the bike cleaned up. Clear sailing here on the mile 5 hill. And look how deep that rut's getting, guys, as Cody Barnes now makes his way into the shot.
Well, and you see your leaders have moved just to the right of it, the left on your screen. And it's so impressive to watch the way these guys almost all identically change lines. Now you just see Johnson, he went through that main line, had to pull out the skis on the side, feet off the pegs.
Grant Baylor now on screen.
The Grizzly can go.
Grant, I would say he can just bulldog through there. That is no problem for him.
And
is that Craig, I believe?
Yeah, making up a little bit of time, it looked like.
And there you see Snodgrass working his way back to the tail end of that freight train. So whatever happened to him early, not holding him back now, as things continuing to get interesting here at round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon. That'd be a little more my style there. Just walk it. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. And walking away right now is Liam Draper on that Ampro Yamaha, looking solid. Stu Baylor has moved into that number 2 spot with Ricky Russell in the number 3 position. That's all physical, folks, though. It is the XC2 class taking over the top spot with Grant Davis, and then you've got Gus Reardon, Cody Barnes, and arguably most of the rest of the XC2 class. Just behind in the rest of the top 10. Ben Kelly starting to charge forward as well. How's it all going to shape out? We'll see here in just a few, right here on RacerTV.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
The Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater film crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia.
Oh, and not what we want to see here, folks. Unfortunately, T-Rex Nick DeFeo off the machine and taking a look, trying to see what's going on.
Yeah, bad news for T-Rex. No real sense of urgency there out of Nick either. Just kind of some very negative body language.
Yeah, going to have to assume he's going to retire early from this one. Give him a few minutes. We'll see if we can't head down there and get a word in.
So hanging out here at the 9-mile mark for round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC, and this is the bottom of your screen is what I thought a lot of the racing was going to look like.
Yes.
When things were coming down during our first EMTB race on Friday, I'm like, it's going to be a long weekend, but it never ceases to amaze me how much things change. Now, we still have got some hard packs, some slick things, like we said, new challenges starting to come up beyond just the mud itself, but man, I think we've got a very raceable track, and we're seeing that right now on screen.
Yeah, it's turned out great. I mean, it's been a hell of a weekend, to say the least, from Friday to the races yesterday. And a shout-out, to the track crew and really the entire staff. These guys have been on the road for, I want to say this is like week 5 in a row for them. We've had at Loretta's Regional, we've had ATVMX for a lot of the guys and the ladies as well. So you come into a GNCC, and on top of the crazy schedule we've had, you get a mutter. It can be demoralizing, but man, they've done a hell of a job to get us out here racing. And I know it's one of those things, you go back years ago, Big Dave Coombs would always talk about never-ending motos early, like on a Sunday, running through them, because that's what people pay their money to come and do is race. And GNCC's held true to Big Dave's wishes on that. We got these guys out there, even though they got machines smoking on the track. It's been a good one.
I mean, at the roots of GNCC, you know, it's always, back in the day, the tagline for Blackwater was 100 miles of blood, guts, and glory, or mud, guts, and glory. Yeah. And, you know, that was the roots, and that's how this whole thing got started. So, obviously, the tracks are a little bit different nowadays. We have thousands of riders, in many cases, racing in a weekend. Just can't quite build those tracks like they were. But when it gets tough, you know, GNCC racers don't shy away from it. They dive in.
That's absolutely it. Johnny, are you going to the event Sunday after Snowshoe? Are you going to be out there at Davis, West Virginia?
Monday, we'll see. I actually have some travel coming up that week, but if I'm able to, I would love to swing by. It's going to be a great event. I mean, I actually had the opportunity to go to Blackwater a number of times. Never did get to race it. All right, here we see some
oh, wow.
On screen, looks like that is Stu Baylor has gotten to rear wheel of Liam Draper.
Man.
Wow.
Stu got a different line choice. Can he make it stick?
Not quite making.
Almost coming together there.
There we see Jordan Ashburn.
So a big shakeup. Ricky Russell just behind that. Then Grant Davis. A huge shakeup here in this one.
Guys, this is the section I was talking about as we got started on lap number 1. Just before this, there's a very, very challenging section of racetrack where they were cutting alternate lines during the morning race, and it looks like we had a big shakeup coming through that section just now. It's 2 valleys, and it just is so rutted out and so deep. As they're now getting deeper into lappers, more obstacles on the trail for them. I'm sure the trail's getting further chewed up, rougher, ruts are getting deeper, the mud's getting stickier, and it's just causing a lot of challenges for these riders as they work their way through.
Yeah, no doubt. Liam Draper's gotten the bad end of the stick on something there, as he has lost a ton of time.
Yeah. And now look at the gap that they have opened up over everyone else. Really things starting to spread themselves out. Looks like we now have Witkowski, Barnes. It looks like that was Reardon and Russell. Then also Josh Strang, Johnson. Yeah, Brody Johnson, the 235 machine.
Craig DeLong making his way by there.
Grant Baylor and Josh Toth, I'm assuming that was. Because I believe I heard you guys say Nick DeFeo having some challenges. Yeah. To see what's going on there. Yep. So that was a Cowie 250, must have been Josh Toth.
It was. A few shots ago, Johnson was actually able to get ahead of Toth there. Now seeing Snodgrass.
I think that was Snodgrass there, yeah, the 178 machine. Running up front early, now dropping back a little bit more towards the tail end of the top 20. Sitting there in that number 16 spot overall. Looks like we may have, Thad Duvall, Ryder Lafferty. We already did see Craig DeLong come by. There is Lafferty and there is Duvall. So right on cue. Look at that little leaderboard on the left side of the screen, and you know who's coming. Comes in handy.
Lafferty with the goggles off as well. Notice that right there. So be looking to get a fresh set. FMF PowerPoint. Looking for Liam Draper and Stu Baylor, or it's going to be Stu Baylor and Liam Draper with the way Baylor was charging.
Yeah, he's definitely put the hammer down, made up some time, obviously navigated through that rough section of racetrack. Still Draper out front leading the way, but look at this. Baylor's going to take a shot at him again, a more direct line through there, and he is pushing, and now it is causing Liam Draper to ratchet his pace up. You can see some pit boards. I don't know what those say. Was that did that not look to be Ben Kelly right on? It was, yeah. So he's right there now. He has gotten, so there's Ricky Russell. We got 3 riders there battling for the lead with Ricky Russell just behind him there. We know Grant Davis in the mix as well there. So, man, these guys are absolutely shredding right now. And you know the XC1 guy's trying to get away from Grant Davis, but it's pretty hard to get away from somebody when they've got their hooks in, and you can see them all right there flying in formation. This is the multi-rider battle for the lead. 2 lines side by side. Baylor trying to square up Draper. And then it is Ben Kelly. Just behind him, Ashburn, and then just behind them, Grant Davis.
As a drone tries to keep pace, if that tells you anything.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to sound like a broken record. Grant Davis playing with house money right now.
Yeah.
That's it. There's the lead right in front of him. As long as he's able to keep pace, he doesn't need to make passes. But Stu Baylor making passes looks like not quite. Hard to tell. I don't think he got it done, though.
Yeah, while you were out, Johnny, we had a shot of Ben Kelly with Davis behind him, and I posed that question, like, hey, if he wants to, he can camp out back there, chill.
We said that at the Hoosier, though.
Well, yeah, and that was my point, was I think if history tells us anything, he's not gotten to 1 point out of the points lead by being conservative, and he was very methodical in how he did it, but he did take a couple of shots at Ben Kelly. And
new leader.
Just
No, not quite.
Not yet.
Wait, I thought so as well. Did we miss? Draper back to the third place
you're
spot.
right.
Yeah, so Draper all the way back to third. I mean, all the way back to third, 5 feet behind where he was
yes.
1 camera shot ago. But that is a shake-up. Ricky Russell there starting to fall off the back of that train a little bit. You know he's going to want to ratchet up the intensity. Does not want to lose the toe because that group has marched away from everybody behind them right now.
And throw the score sheet on the left-hand side out as everything has changed here in this one.
Yeah, as they ratchet the pace up, I think we're going to start to see a couple of those XC1 guys start to hop ahead of possibly Barnes, but definitely Reardon, Toth, Johnson in the overall, at least based off that last camera shot. But if we've learned anything, oh, look at that. There's a big hook in that rut. Liam Draper getting a big kick. The other guy's kind of able to hop up over the edge of it, keep going straight. So Draper there in the number 3 spot. There is
that Ashburn in
fourth, and I did not see Grant Davis.
There he is, right on top.
Yep, there is Davis, and then just behind him, Ricky Russell. So Grant Davis did lose a little bit of ground there. Nothing crazy, but probably 6-8 seconds.
Yeah, so now your leader going to be none other than Stu Baylor, and then it's going to be Ben Kelly in second, Liam Draper holding on to the 3rd place spot. That's for your XC1. We'll have to see how the overall is looking when those riders make their way by. One thing we can guarantee is Grant Davis is still in that overall lead where he sits.
Yeah, and it's, man, now Ben Kelly really looking like he's seeing the sense of urgency going after Stu Baylor. After Baylor was able to get around him, also get around Draper, and Jordan Ashburn pushing the pace as well. So the question is now, are these 4 right here together, and Ricky Russell just behind them, but they have now dropped Grant Davis, at least for the moment. We know he's got great sprint speed, but they've broken him for now. He will not be able to see them when they go back into the woods unless he has a very quick pit stop here. We can see some fresh goggles for Ben Kelly. This is going to be important. Track position, very important. You can see him spraying out the radiators. Ben Kelly actually getting around Stu Baylor in the pits. We'll have to look ahead on our drone to see if anyone else was able to get out in front of them. There is Davis. That is your leader on corrected time, but he has now been dropped by this group of 4 XC1 riders out front. Looks like actually to me that Ricky Russell made the pass on, oh, look at that, Draper now all the way back to the number 5 spot. Oh, Ricky Russell hadn't pitted yet, so now he pits, but Ashburn around Draper. So Draper now back to the number 4 spot. It's Ben Kelly out front, taking over the lead in the pits. Stu Baylor in the number 2 spot. Jordan Ashburn 3rd, and Liam Draper in the number 4 spot, all flying in formation, really ratcheting up the pace and trying to get away from the hard-charging kid, the XC2 assassin, Grant Davis.
An hour and 20 minutes here into this one. The riders have stopped and pitted. They've got fuel, goggles, and hydration as they head back into the woods. They are on lap number 3 and now getting close to the completion of lap number 3.
There you go. We'll see the lap times. We'll see the updates. Look at this. Now Grant Davis on a full charge has now gotten back to the rear wheel of that group just that quickly. We'd seen him dropped. He must have had a very quick pit stop and then also put in a crazy push to be able to make up that distance, and now they have gapped out on the 212, the Enduro Engineering triumph of Ricky Russell.
So we saw Gus Reardon there in the pits. And now we're going to go back to our live drone as we continue to watch our leaders. And look at that. Is that Grant Davis? I thought it was Ben Kelly at first.
It looks like Grant Davis to me, but my question is, where are we at? What happened there? Because he was just on the rear wheel. The riding style says Davis. Okay, it is Ben Kelly out front. So he is leading. All good. All right, so we've got Ben Kelly on screen starting to try to stretch it out over Stu Baylor. There's Baylor in the number 2 spot. And now it's starting to stretch out a little bit. There's Ashburn in the number 3 spot. Man, that stretched out quickly. These guys were wheel to wheel just 4 or 5 corners ago, but you can see lapped riders really coming into the mix. And now Draper under fire from Grant Davis, and it looks like Davis, oh, I thought he was going to try to run it in there on the inside.
Those 2 riders as close as you could possibly be, wheel to wheel going into that one. Davis still pushing. Draper looking back at him. He knows for sure he's there now as we go back to Ben Kelly.
Yeah, taking a look over his shoulder, and that is not what he wants to see. Sure, he knew he was back there, but now Grant Davis realizing that this guy right here, talked to him yesterday, his plan was, he said, I need to get to the front earlier, and I need to push the pace. I can't let this kid latch on to me. Can't let any of these XC2 kids latch on to me. I got to push the pace. I got to try to break them, and that looks exactly what he is attempting to do right now. Mikey Waynes will get the running order, we'll get the splits, and as Grant Davis checks in, what is the tail of the tape on a lapse time?
Grant Davis, a 27.12, or a lapse time of 1:22.19. And you've got Ben Kelly with a 1:23.04. That's your elapsed time. Obviously, Davis out front, Kelly in the 2nd spot, and Stu Baylor 3rd in the OA.
So 45 seconds is the lead for Grant Davis on corrected time right now. But look at this, lapped riders in the mix big time. Liam Draper gets held up, allowing Jordan Ashburn to gap out, and Davis stuck behind Draper as well. So those guys getting the bad end of a lapper there. But I think if you go just a little further ahead, this is all going to kind of flip-flop here. As look at the lappers. They are just 4, 5, 6 deep trying to thread the needle to get through these guys.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but a good old-fashioned Ben Kelly, almost retro GNCC at this point, of Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor out in front. Folks, you're in for a show.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
Yeah, circa 2020.
Yeah,
and you could say Ben Kelly definitely got a chip on his shoulder. He does not want Grant Davis up there in that top spot.
Both of these guys, like Kelly and Baylor, both very, very cool about an XC2 guy getting an overall. I mean, at least for the moment, it's like, hey, good job, kid. That's awesome. They don't want that.
That's not always going to fly.
They do not want that. They want OAs. That's what they're here to race for.
There's a respect level for sure. Here is Kelly, and man, look at that. The dirt goes flying. He is absolutely hammering right now. I don't know that I've seen this intensity out of Ben Kelly, maybe ever. Stu Baylor trying to match it. Then it is Jordan Ashburn in the number 3 spot. Liam Draper in 4th, and Grant Davis still latched onto the back, still holding the pace. Definitely still very much close enough, but you gotta wonder if Ben Kelly, Stu Baylor, if they're able to get completely out of sight, how hard is Grant Davis going to go to chase him? The answer is as hard as Liam Draper's going, which is wide open. That shows the intensity right now, guys. Just getting kicked sideways and never letting out of the throttle.
And putting that power down there on that big 450cc machine as he tries to outrun that XC2 250 rider, Grant Davis. As Davis now going to lose a few bike links, and Liam Draper going to settle back in. And Stu Baylor going back to him as we continue to watch this battle on screen. Baylor really having that fitness together. He pushed hard to get up in that top spot, still pushing right now as he runs in that 2nd place position. Just several bike links now back into that 2nd place spot physically on the track. But man, Stu Baylor had to fight hard to get up in that top spot and then just to lose it there in that pit stop.
Oh, lap traffic there. My heart skipped a beat just for a moment. Johnny, pose one to you. You know, Caleb Russell, prior to him coming back, a lot of talk about, you know, he felt like a lot of the guys in the XC1 didn't quite have that heart of a champion to kind of push it to that next level. Guys kind of complacent almost, just to go out there and have a good day. And, hey, I got a podium, thumbs up, great job. Do you think that the kind of motivation that Caleb Russell was trying to instill in the guys has been awoken, not necessarily by the 5.57 this year, as I think Caleb's still trying to figure things out for himself, but kind of by the XC2 guys, those young guys coming up, to where when we see Ben Kelly out front, when we see Stu Baylor, they're two that stand out to me. When they get out front,
They're like, heck no, we're going to run away from those XC2 guys, and that explains some of the intensity you saw out of Ben Kelly through this section at mile marker 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think after, one of the races this year, I can't remember exactly where it was, or he made a post, Caleb did, talking about, how he maybe wishes he wouldn't have taught Grant Davis so much. And if you look at, if you look at the top 3 in XC2 in points right now, and if you look at the top 3 that are kind of pushing
Caleb
the
said he had
today,
a small part. I was very humble for him to say
Grant Davis is doing the work, but yeah, I mean, he worked with Grant for a few years. He's been working with Angus for a few years, and now he's working with Cody. And those 3, it's almost like you got to kick yourself if you're Caleb. He didn't know he was coming back to racing, and now that he is, he's like, man, I really probably, instilled in these guys too much of what it took for me to win these titles. And while he's trying to figure it out, as you put it, these guys are just absolutely crushing it.
Yeah.
Not to sound the alarm, guys, but I believe I saw Ricky Russell there at the end, right before we swap cameras, as we go back now to Ben Kelly, who's getting a little loose there on our live drone. So it is showing that he is still sitting in the 8th place spot on timing and scoring, but we'll have to wait and see if we see him a part of this group. Possibly something happening there. Not for sure, but back here to Ben Kelly.
Good catch there if that's the case, but we have our leader on screen, the 5:30 of Ben Kelly, and man, you can see as he gets sideways there, he is leaving nothing to chance. He is absolutely stretching the throttle cable on that FMF Red Bull KTM, and now he is just about out of sight of Stu Baylor, but Baylor throwing everything at it, knowing if Ben Kelly's going to charge, he wants to go with him, not only to try to keep pace with Kelly to be able to battle for a win later, but also probably trying to get away from that kid right there who is now around Liam Draper. He is up now to the 3rd spot physically on the racetrack.
Trying to pick up where he left off. Just one race to go. And there the boys go up to mile 3.
Yeah, that is bad news for those 2 out front, because Davis is absolutely shredding, trying to close that gap up. Any work that they put in that last little bit of racetrack, he is now trying to reel them back in. There, I believe that was Ricky Russell right there, so I don't think that Russell has lost ground. It looks like he is still in touch with that lead group. Just ahead of him, back to Grant Davis from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. 3rd physically on the racetrack. Overall lead with about a 45-second cushion. Liam Draper now in the number 4 spot physically on the racetrack. He is pushing to try to keep pace with top XC2 rider and overall leader, Grant Davis. Ooh, sideways again. You can tell just how challenging this racetrack is. Again, best riders in the world. Usually we see them around looking like they're just cruising around there with their feet on the pegs. Today we see feet off, sideways, getting kicked, and they are just not letting out of the throttle. Big chances to be taken to stay up front here today.
So that is Ricky Russell. Jordan Ashburn just a little bit ahead of him there, as they are behind Liam Draper physically out on the course. Hey, I'm definitely not counting either one of those 2 out of this one. Especially Jordan Ashburn. We always say it, Jordan Ashburn loves the mud. He loves conditions like this. When things get rough, that's when we see Jordan at his best. And this one's still far from over. Just an hour and 30 minutes into it, right at the halfway point.
We'll say as Grant Davis keeps pace for that overall lead on the adjusted time. 2nd and 3rd out of the XC2 have dropped back quite a bit. Brody Johnson now 6th in the OA. Actually, I should say moved up has Brody Johnson, and then Cody Barnes in 7th in the overall. Angus Reardon, after the pit stop, I believe, sitting 9th.
There you go. That's a big shake-up there. Josh Toth in the number 10 spot, and Jack Walker, solid ride there in the number 11 spot overall on that on that Liqui Moly factory beta.
Gavin Simon now going to take back over that top 20 spot. Big shout out to him. One of our 250 A-class riders, the leader there in that 250 A-class. Simon going to be on the 249 Husqvarna. Keep your eyes out for him.
Yeah, only rider out of our the amateur classes in that top 20.
And it shows you how much they've ratcheted the pace up, the XC1 and XC2 guys, because on lap 1 we had 4 top amateur riders in the top 20 overall. So even though Gavin Simon out there absolutely shredding, these XC1 and XC2 guys, the battle they have going on amongst their classes and amongst each other is really pushing the pace. But Gavin Simon doing a great job keeping it in the top 20 overall there.
Yeah, it went from 4-3 now to just 1. And here we go, Ben Kelly on screen, your leader now at the mile 5 mark.
Pushing. See where the 514, there he is.
green vest and all.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Guys, have you ever, look at this. Davis now right to the rear wheel. And he's
two completely different styles through there.
Yeah, Liam Draper's still looking good, but he is starting to lose a little bit of ground. And there is Jordan Ashburn. Should see Ricky Russell
holding solid on that Enduro Engineering Triumph machine. And here we go. This is Grant Davis chasing down Stu Baylor.
Guys, this kid is so impressive.
He's
right
absolutely
now.
Fearless. It's insane to watch.
He is just full sending it. I mean, these guys they all are, but Grant Davis somehow just finds a little extra. It looks like he's going to get dropped in the pits. You know, he's lost some ground. Next thing you know, bam, he's making passes, and he's right back to the rear wheel of Baylor, who still, at this point, has Ben Kelly in sight just ahead of him up the trail.
Be a tough road to hoe and get around the 514 if you are Grant Davis.
We talked about that a minute ago. You said, they're happy for these guys, but at the same time, well, it's to me, if you're Ben Kelly, if you're Stu Baylor, it doesn't matter. XC1, XC2, it doesn't matter. They want to win.
Yeah.
Flat out. They want to beat each other. They want to beat everybody else on the racetrack. Let's not pit this as some XC2. It's great for fun.
Oh, look at this.
There it is. Yes.
Baylor, big mistake, sliding off the track to the inside there, and Grant Davis is by and already starting to gap out on Baylor after the big mistake from Baylor. Keeping it upright, not losing too much ground. But look at that, Grant Davis having a moment there. Got a little sideways, and Baylor able to close it back up. These guys are pushing so hard right now. We cannot emphasize that enough. We can just see the intensity on screen.
Look at the gap that's already beginning to form here from Davis. At least about 10 bike links.
You know, we give credit where credit is due. Grant's been amazing. I don't think we talk enough about his mechanic, Andy. Andy's got a #1 plate for the XC1 with Jordan Ashburn back in the Gas Cast days. That was Husqvarna, I believe. It was Husqvarna, the Magna 1 Husqvarna team. And then he's got the #1 plate with Grant Davis as well. Grant's bikes, they don't break. Knock on wood, no announcer curse here today. And he's riding the guts.
That's what I was just going to say. It's not just that his bike doesn't break. This kid is literally trying to ride the wheels off of the bike. He rides this KTM 250 as if he is mad at the dirt and he wants to hurt it. That's what it looks like.
Well, we have got another one on display. It's Grant Davis leading it in the overall for adjusted time. He's flirting with an OA lead. He just got around the 514 of Stu Baylor. Stu Baylor going to try and rebound to take over or retake over that physical second place position. Meanwhile, the 530, Ben Kelly, your physical leader out in front, trying to run away and hide a sense of urgency when we saw the 530 coursing through the woods. We'll see if he can be the new leader after 4. We are 3 laps into it. We'll be right back with more GNCC here on RacerTV.com.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 left, the main event.
organizing the industry, and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
The Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater film crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia. Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Progressive Insurance could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile, your motorcycle, and, your RV insurance. And I would say, as we speak to the thousands out there watching on Racer TV and on location, there's a few campers out there. So do yourself a favor, scan the QR code, see about saving some money on your camper or RV insurance through Progressive. Could save you hundreds of dollars or more. Bottom line is, we got some folks out there that you got some bread, you got some money, you want to protect that, and do yourself a favor, go to progressive.com, scan the QR code, makes it even easier, and see about getting yourself a quote on saving on that insurance.
Hey, a lot of people bring their dogs to the races with them as well. Have them in the camper. Progressive can help you with that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They even have, I saw an ad the other day, they even have a special thing going for the pets that are traveling in the RV, so something to check out.
That's a good idea because a lot of people at GNCCs don't always have their dogs on leashes. And that's a huge pet peeve of mine, not to everyone. Tim Cotter's one of those. Doesn't always have his dog on a leash. I think you should. That's just my 2 cents. I'll just throw that out there because your dog can be the most well-behaved dog in the world, but that doesn't mean the other dog on a leash isn't, and fights ensue, et cetera, et cetera. That's just my 2 cents. I'm going to get in trouble from the boss on that one, but I'll take it. I'll take the smoke, Tim. Come at me, bro. So there you go. Progressive Insurance can help you out.
Hopefully, Mikey Waynes will be at round number 9.
I'll be there.
He just might be in Howard's Hall.
So now moving to the mile 10, the FMF PowerPoint as we wait for our leaders to make their way by what we expect to be the 5:30 KTM machine of Ben Kelly.
Well, how long ago was it where I was talking about the difference between the two of them being first and ninth, and now Ben Kelly first and second, first out of your XC1 field? I mean, Kelly, we take the XC2 out of the picture. I feel like we almost aren't highlighting enough impressive performances. I mean, Kelly repeatedly has been outside of the top 5 in the XC1, working his way through the pack in that first hour and a half or so, and then consistently been in the fight for wins. It's just not always with the XC1 field. He does what should be all he needs to do, and this year it's just not quite enough.
Yeah, it's exactly it. And because the madman himself, Grant Davis,
that's a dog.
He is. He's got that dog.
Keep him on a leash.
Somebody put
Andy
that on a leash.
Put him on a leash.
Yeah, Grant Davis, it's been just a heck of a year to watch him. 2 years in a row, really, watching this kid do this thing. And waiting on those leaders through mile marker number 9. And expecting to see the 5:30 Ben Kelly pushing.
And, hats off to Cole Martinez and the entire Club MX crew as well. When KTM and that entire group kind of moved over there, and Club MX, we talked with a couple of the Club MX crew as we see your leader on screen, and that looked like his buddy just behind him. So that is Ben Kelly, and look at that. The gap has evaporated. Take it, toss it out the window. Stu Baylor joining the party as well. Grant Davis just about a bike length behind Ben Kelly.
And Liam Draper.
Wow. But yeah, talking with Brandon Haas earlier this year, kind of entering new territory out there at Club MX with that off-road training, and they do incorporate some of the moto tracks and sand tracks as well. But yeah, it's impressive to see what they've been able to do and continuing to grow. As I think the proof's in the pudding now. These guys, the wheel-to-wheel battles late into the races as well, just shows they're on the top of their game. As there we see Ricky Russell making his way through. Still a very solid ride for Russell.
And man, Grant Davis, we talk about him having advantages there from that XC2 row. I'm going to go out and say it on this one. I don't see any advantage here today. What can you say? The man has tracked him down and now making the moves up into the positions.
Yeah, we talk about, we constantly talking about the time adjustment he has.
He doesn't need
for Grant Davis. That's only been applicable to that first lap, and then after that, like he's fighting with these guys. He's battling with Ben Kelly. He got around Stu Baylor. Now Stu Baylor made a mistake. Doesn't matter. Bottom line is he got around him. He was there, right place, right time,
and pulled off.
And he pulled off. He put a gap. He found Ben Kelly, and now Stu Baylor, the 514 is back there taking notes from third in the OA. Like, all right, what the heck is this kid doing?
Well, and I'll be the first to tell you, anybody that's talking about the benefit or the adjusted time for XC2, it's not Grant Davis, because he doesn't just want to do that. This is what he's wanting to do. Physically beat the field, because like you said, I understand to a point the not having to check up as much, almost following the riders in front of you, as we see, looks like Barnes, Reardon, and Wachowski now falling a couple of spots. There's Johnson and DeLong making their way through. And yeah, like OPAG just said to us, the best way to find out is to line them all up. Davis going to be on that front row, and I think everyone's maybe a little scared as to what we might see with that.
And it's a very interesting scenario as we watch from the FMF PowerPoint. That battle, there is Ben Kelly, and there is Lil Bro Grant Davis behind him. Stu Baylor still in that 3 spot charging, and Liam. How far back is Liam? There is Liam Draper. Yeah, we get the snowshoe. We had this scenario years ago as we had Ben Kelly out of the XC2 at the time, was getting some overall podiums. Not overall wins, but overall podiums up there as was that
Jordan Ashburn.
And I remember we had a podium. I think it was the round. It wasn't Mason-Dixon at the time, but it was the round right before Snowshoe. Ben Kelly grabbed an OA podium. He's up there with Caleb Russell, who absolutely in his prime at the time. And Caleb kind of did that Caleb Russell side smile smirk and was like, when we get to the mountain, you don't get the time adjustment. And like we get to Snowshoe, and yeah, it was kind of put on display. I think if you're Grant Davis, you kind of welcome the challenge at this point.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say. I think he doesn't want people to talk about him having any kind of advantage. He wants to race these guys straight up. If he could, if it was possible for him to line up and they would figure out the time afterwards, that's the way he'd like to do it, because he wants to race these guys straight up. And we talked about that earlier this weekend as well. And we're playing a lot of ifs here, but down the road, you got to wonder how Grant Davis is going to feel in that XC1 class, as comfortable as he is on the 250 machine, because we've seen some of those riders swapping bikes up there in the XC1 class. But right now, he's using 250 of the 250 available CCs to try to track down Ben Kelly, because Kelly is rolling.
Yeah, the question at some point does become when you jump up, if you're Grant Davis. And like honestly, at this point, from a spectator's perspective, he has nothing left to prove in the XC2 class.
Well, a championship here this year. I imagine once he gets that under his belt, I could very well see him moving up to that XC1 line as Ashburn makes his way by now at the mile 11. For anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about at the next race, round 9 at Snowshoe, they're going to start on the road. And only, is it 4 riders per row? 5. So 5 riders per row. They have a completely different start row the way we do it. We go off points there. So the top 5 in points will be on that first row, and so on and so forth. So Grant Davis going to be there on that top row. So going to be very, very interesting to see. So the boys still going to battle here as Ben Kelly continues to physically lead Grant Davis around. There they are right now on screen. And you can throw a blanket over those two, only a few bike lengths separating.
Yeah, now is the point where, we're over the halfway point. They're about to check in. 4 laps completed here in under 4 minutes. This is where you see, I think, Grant Davis be patient. He's going to chill behind Ben Kelly. And if the opportunity's there, he's going to take it. He wants a physical overall win. He's been, not quiet about that. But right now, house money. Like Johnny said, this guy smelling like roses. It seems like no matter what he does, He doesn't have to pass Ben. He's got it, but right now it's the pride thing.
Yeah, that's what's amazing about it. Not choosing not to sit back there. He could very well finish right here, and we'll have a minute.
Had a straw, no hydration for Grant. Oh, a little miss. Man, that is a tight
as it gets.
My goodness. That's basically looks like the roads it takes to get here to Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. Those hairpin turns. Real good on the Chevy Silverado transmission.
Here we go. The battle for the lead, as you see on screen.
Grant Davis trying to track down Ben Kelly for the physical lead.
The XC2 assassin trying to attack here.
Man, a lot of rocks. As I went down to try to catch up with one of our riders having to pull off early, and was kind of shocked how many big rocks there are through the pit lane area, and they do come at you at a high rate of speed. I'll just put it like that.
It's like buckshot down there.
I love watching Grant Davis here, just able to finesse his way around those hay bales, especially a few chicanes before this.
And that, like, drone doesn't quite do this. You pointed this out yesterday, Jackson. It's like that's a steep hill. Like, that is a steep hill those guys are going on.
The entire property.
Yeah, there's really not a flat spot. The flat spot is where RVs are parked, and outside of that, it's rolling hills off camber. It's a gnarly track. I honestly, like, in my opinion, I feel like the Mason-Dixon GNCC doesn't get quite enough credit for how rough it is. I mean, in a few weeks we go to Snowshoe, and that one obviously has the reputation behind it. This is a grown man's track. This is a grown woman's track. Like, this is tough.
Well, and like we said, I think everybody's energy just starts going towards Snowshoe. Everyone's ready for summer breaks, like the end of school. You know, this is it's not quite. It's a little past halfway, but I think this Mason-Dixon event almost gets pushed under the rug a little bit because people don't recognize how unique of a track it is. It's very technical. A lot of these riders on the podium saying, yeah, I wasn't able to go just wide open. I had to play it smart a little bit. These guys somehow able to do both at the same time and piecing this thing together beautifully as we see Davis really going out wide, trying to carry that momentum.
And this track's starting to get really beat up now, guys. There's some very, very long ruts and a ton of them.
Square edge bump starting to pop up, and there it is. We promised a little bit of dust, too.
Those braking bumps going into the woods, man. It's almost an off-road whoop section at this point.
It is, and look how off-camber this is right here as we make our way into the finish line. Going to have our top two checking in now.
Well, we know it's going to be Ben Kelly for about a split second before Grant Davis takes it back. And there it is, Grant Davis. Elapsed time for Davis, 1:48.51. Elapsed time for Ben Kelly, 1:49.47.
So we saw Davis have the straw mishap a little bit earlier, was able to grab a little bit of hydration, leaving the scoring area. So great job from that's the team aspect of it. They radioed over, said, hey, he missed that bottle. We're going to have to get him at the finish line, taking care of their rider. And that's a big part of the program as well. Davis talking about that little things like missing the bottles, not staying on top of your hydration. To say you've got to be at 100% out here on track to run this pace, that's no joke. You got to hit every mark.
Well, Grant Davis is just going too fast, and he pulled the straw right out of the bottle. Like,
that's
on you, Grant.
Yep. No, yeah, they actually have to fully, like baseball, pitch the water bottle to get it to speed.
They have to start putting a little silicone around the top of the straw.
An hour and 50 minutes here into this one. You know they're needing some hydration, no doubt, as we see Ricky Russell making his way to the finish line.
Yeah, and it's you bring that up. It's interesting. We used to talk about this. I remember when I first started calling the Nationals with Johnny Gallagher and Rodney Tomlin, and we'd have a race where we had a Grant Davis like in the first lap, maybe even first hour, even into the second hour, flirting with an overall or a top three, and I would like kind of get beside myself, like excited, and they would not like brush it off, but they'd be like, yeah, it's never happened. It's not going to happen. Once we get to that third hour, they'll fade. Not no more. Like, Grant Davis is not fading. We know he's not. Johnson's not going to fade. Barnes is not going to fade. Reardon's not going to fade. Those guys are in the fight. There has been kind of unusual to this season, at least. Johnson, Barnes, Reardon, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Toth, 10th. Jack Walker, 11th. we're used to seeing those guys up in the top 10 or top 5.
Yep.
Today, there's been something about the XC1 boys maybe pushing that pace, and it's just kind of escalated the level that we're seeing Grant Davis ride to.
Yeah, it's a bit of a newfound sense of urgency for that XC1 class. And, you know, the point that we keep talking about is the professionalism of the sport and how it's seeping deeper and deeper into the ranks. Your XC2 field, 20th place, Gavin Simon, out of one of our A classes. He's consistently up inside that. We've seen him inside the top 20, top 10. It just goes to show all of these riders, just like we see with any sport, it continues to elevate and elevate. And now, if you want to be one of the best, we see our 85 riders getting on board with teams, with training facilities. It just goes to show you got to give your everything to be on the top here at GNCC.
Well, like you guys are both moto. We've called Loretta's together. You know, we're obviously in tune with Pro Motocross. Those guys kind of get highlighted more. We have the moto scouting combine, of course, so you've got the Loretta's program, you've got the big nationals like Minios, where we get to see those up-and-coming riders kind of on display at a national level. Racer TV is kind of the only outlet for off-road for guys like Davis, Reardon, Barnes to get some spotlight, but we don't have that necessarily on our youth riders. So you guys know who they are coming up. I know who they are coming up because we hear those amateur races at the track. But it's the same like across the board, and we've talked about this before with like Hayden Deegan jumping up. Well, wait till he gets to the 250s. We'll see how he does. He does great. Jet Lawrence in the same situation. We're seeing the same thing in off-road. Grant Davis, wait till you get to the 250s. Doesn't skip a beat. Reardon doesn't skip a beat. And you kind of have to expect that when they get to the XC1. I would say if not for the success we're seeing out of Davis, Reardon, Barnes, we would probably be saying that about Liam Draper right now. If it was two XC1 guys out front and the rookie Liam Draper was sitting second in points, we'd be like, holy crap, this is insane. This is amazing. He's 5th OA right now, but yeah, the level of competition, it just keeps getting deeper and it keeps getting younger.
Yeah, it's funny. We watched that, and the consistency as well. We've got 4 to 5 riders in almost all of these classes that are swapping leads. They're doing points. They're battling down to the line. And so it wasn't long ago we were watching T-Rex Nick DeFeo grab super many wins. Then when Jackson and I came in the series, he was one of the top amateur guys on big bikes. Now jumps up to the XC2. It's really impressive. Caleb Wood, our youth champion from last year, having some solid runs here in the afternoon races now. So just shows the progression. And these kids, when you talk to them, it is one of the more unique opportunities that you have at GNCC. You're running the same series, the same tracks. You're around the factory teams, the factory riders, the factory trainers. You are on a consistent opportunity to get noticed by these companies, and they are. They take good care of them. You've got your Team Green, your Orange Brigade, your Gas mobs, the Blue Crew, obviously getting deeper and deeper all the way down to the PW class. So it just goes to show there's a lot of opportunity for these amateurs and youth riders as well here at GNCC.
And like to the manufacturer's credit, those team managers, they're at the youth starts, and I'm sure they pop in at the finishes as well.
Auntie is at every podium giving hats out every single time.
So they're entrenched. They know what's going on. I remember years ago, Auntie was actually the guy that was coming around the youth races, and he kind of almost. I didn't know how close his hands were on the pulse, and he threw out like 5 different names at the time of like guys he had his eyes on that were gonna, as we see Stu Baylor buzzing past, they were gonna be like big names. And yeah, he was in 7 years time, he was spot on. Grant Davis is one of those guys. So yeah, he absolutely, they know what's going on.
Hey, speaking to some of our amateurs, give them a shout-out. Our 250A top 5 going to be Gavin Simon, JoJo Cunningham, Chase Landers, Will Stephen Piper, and Lane Whitmer. Here in this one, going to check in with our Open A real quick. How we got just a second. It's Van Adams, the Indiana native, that's leading the way. Cole Whitmer in the number 2 spot. Davin Cocker in the 3rd place position. Levi Keller and Samuel Evans going to round out the top 5 for our Open A.
We're watching that battle through the trees, getting later towards summer here, getting harder and harder to see them. But that battle there between Davis and Kelly. And was that Davis that got around him?
Yes.
That's the number 1 there, and a 5.30. So new physical leader, Grant Davis.
What do you say, guys?
Yeah. Johnny Gallagher shaking his head in disbelief off in the distance. Well, not disbelief.
Not even disbelief.
Look at this section here as some of our amateur and our lap riders here get tangled up. And look, he's bottomed out. There's not much he can do. He can't get that machine to move. He's trying to pop it out of that rut. Little does he know, our overall leader, our physical leader, Grant Davis, should be there any second.
Racer TV.
Well, we've seen some of these guys a few times. I'm just going to sit still and, and
hold the line.
Yep,
hold
I
the
don't
line.
get anyone's way. He's looking around.
I promise, buddy, we're not laughing at you.
Yes.
We're sympathizing.
We'd be in a lot worse shape, I promise.
Yeah, because it's frustrating being out there too, Jackson. We see the fatigue and almost the anger that comes along with it when there's just nothing that you can do.
Hey, Zach, we've been talking about the amateurs and whatnot. Let me know if our pros make their way by. But, hey, speaking of some of our younger riders jumping up in our 150A class, Ryder Siggety, who's getting on the big bike now, sitting in the #1 spot. Kate Statz and Braden Hashman are top 3 there for that 150A class. So good to see Ryder Siggety moving up and finding his way to the top of the charts once again now in our PM race.
As we wait on those leaders to check in, an update from the AmPro Yamaha pits. Caleb Russell back in the 16 spot was racing with a broken shifter early in this one. They got it fixed. He's back out there, but you want to talk about having a rough day in the mud, go race one without a shifter.
Yeah. Be curious to know what would be worse, to be stuck in a tall gear or to be stuck in a lower gear.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, that makes for a tough day for the 557. But yeah, got it fixed, back out there.
And seeing is that, oh, nope. Yes, that's Grant Davis stuck.
Davis stuck at the top of your screen.
Oh, Newton.
Ben Kelly getting the pass back.
So Ben Kelly now going to be our new leader.
Davis still stuck. Oh, man. Do not adjust your monitors. Now he's getting help. I can't tell if that's a KTM boys or just somebody in it. No, it's the Mud Fleas getting their money's worth out of GNCC. Grant Davis finally up and going. Did Stu get around? I got to think Stu got around.
Yeah, because he was not far back from the two of them in our last camera shot.
Okay,
yes.
Can confirm. So Stu gets around. So now Grant Davis physically back in the 3 spot. Probably still within range of an overall lead, but a tough break there for Grant Davis.
No doubt, still got the overall lead on the lap time, but hey, a breath of fresh air here for Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor.
Man, simple little mistake, and just goes to show you cannot bet on anything, and this track ever changing. Kelly able to see the better of those 2 lines, and
how's that for some perspective?
Yeah, and that was I believe our same guy that helped out Grant Davis. So this section going to continue to, it looks like, get filled with more and more riders having trouble. Hey, Ricky, rough and rowdy.
That's why, see, you earned the name, Ricky. Own it. WP Suspension getting some love right there. Help this man out. He's got the polo. We got to hook him up, WP.
Hey, while we got a second here, 4-stroke A lights, it's Jake Fustini that's going to be leading the way. Owen Barnes in the #2 spot. Olin Daniels in 3rd. Caleb Wood in the 4th place position. And Lane Smith going to round out our 4-stroke A lights. The boys are going.
And, man, you can see things starting to get tough, not only for man, but for machine as well. The Parts Unlimited, Mason-Dixon. And we've got a back-and-forth battle between the KTM boys, Ben Kelly and Grant Davis. Kelly holding things down for the XC1 field, kept Grant Davis at bay, but the pesky kid just kept pushing and was able to physically get out front. You see him there in tow, kind of was studying the lines of his XC1. We almost like to call him the big brother, if you will. These two pretty much glued together. And then the top of your screen, Davis getting stuck and handing the lead right back to Ben Kelly. We'll be right back here on Racer TV.
The Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater film crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia.
seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Round 8, the Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon, and these are the main event. This is the big dogs. This is the nitty-gritty. I'm talking about the Stasic Showdown Saturday night, all the way as young as our 2 and under, and as you can see, the faces of determination, Jackson. Look at that contact side by side. One of the Russell kids going down. I mean, Johnny D, it's chaos, but they're going for it out here.
Yeah, man. To these guys, this is the main event for the weekend. You can see, I mean, look at the dramatic camera footage. Look at them all. There's just millions of them out there. These are all the fast grounds coming up. Future GNCC superstars. Honestly, superstars in their own right now. One of the most well-attended events throughout the weekend here at GNCC, and the intensity is off the charts.
This is a big part of why we see such incredible racecraft in our 50 and 65 classes. We talk about the changes that we've seen in the aggression with the micro classes and the racing style. It all starts here on the Stasic track. Incredible technique, incredible style, and as you can see, an incredible time as well.
We may be able to ask the question, did Grant Davis have a Stasic of his own?
Oh.
He might be the first of the Stasic generation, and this is just bringing up future GNCC racers.
Well, it is a ton of fun, and probably the question Jackson and myself get asked more than anything else, hey, where's the Stasic race at? So glad everybody had a great time. I'm glad we were able to have that despite the adverse weather earlier in the weekend. And, of course, as always, Griff Cotter and the entire crew making sure it was a great track, and looks like everybody had a great time.
Yeah, they sure did. Stasic Showdown, always a good time. Now, as we wait here at the mile mark number 9 for our leaders. So it sounds like our drone pilot, Mr. Gabe Scholl, a big shout out to him, has been able to track down our leaders and saying about a 20-second gap is what is going to be shown.
Yeah, sounds like between Stu and Grant, and got to believe that Ben is up in front of Stu, at least last we saw. So Davis, man, it's, if there is anything that we could point out as far as it's been maybe a weak spot, it's these little mistakes. We've seen videos of Davis, and maybe it's just chance, but you know, getting stuck multiple times before, having these small little mishaps that end up costing him at the end and arguably preventing him from grabbing that first physical win before. Once again, we see what's just a tiny miscalculation costing him 2 positions and several seconds behind. Still in the overall lead, of course, but I think we've established Grant Davis wants to physically grab the win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, anything less, as he pointed out in his post-race interview just 2 weeks ago. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but essentially it was, I was either going to win or it was even blocked out, because he was like, I was going to win or I was going to weed myself trying something to that effect. I mean, that's his mindset right now. You know, even coming in behind these guys isn't enough for him anymore. He wants to break them. He wants to just physically pass them and ride away from them. And we're kind of talking off camera here. The way he's riding, it is an intensity level we have seldom seen in GNCC, and the way he's able to sustain it week in and week out, it's just, when Mikey Wayne's, yes, I was shaking my head off camera. It wasn't in disbelief. It was just in awe. That's a better word for it.
Yeah, it's truly amazing to see what he can do, especially once he gets this last hour figured out here. Boys are going to be in for some trouble, no doubt.
Well, as commentators as, you know, our job is to hype this up. Keep in mind, earlier in the season, Grant Davis had a few of these in the bag and was not able to close the deal on them, obviously getting it done for the first time 2 weeks ago. So now the question is, do we revert back to the two riders ahead of him who were the two that have been able to wrestle these things away from him late in the race? Stu Baylor doing so at Talladega and Ben Kelly doing so at the Camp Coker GNCC. These are the two riders ahead of him. So now they're almost maybe working together to jointly try to break this kid's spirit, knowing that he's trying to do the same to them. So we've got a battle of titans up front with the kid chasing him down.
Going to be a good one. It has been so far, as we are over 2 hours here into this one. And we're going to see, can Grant Davis make that time back up? Can he get back up to Stu Baylor? If so, can he get back up to Ben Kelly? Or could we see Stu Baylor possibly catching back up to Ben Kelly? It is completely up in the air from here, Zach.
Yeah, you know, with Grant Davis, youth on his side, and sometimes that's a little bit of inexperience as well. You saw when he got stuck, almost immediately hit the panic button, was rocking the bike back and forth, wide open, which sometimes can make the situation even worse. So little things like that is, look at that, it is Stu Baylor now out front leading the way. He's gotten around Ben Kelly, and let's see if that is Kelly still just behind him in the number 2 spot. So our XC1 riders trying to check out from the kid as we go back, and now we wait. The clock ticking here.
2:08:36 was the amount, or the time that Stu Baylor's front wheel kind of hit that little ditch exiting this camera shot. So let's see what the gap is. We are now up to about 20 seconds right now. So that is starting to reel back that time correction. Now he only has a 40-second lead. Now we're coming up on where he only has a 30-second lead. It's starting to count down. They have reversed the time game right now. They are still, Grant Davis, if he comes through right now, still leading. Now it's 20 seconds. Uh-oh, guys, this one's getting interesting. And here is Davis. When his front wheel hits this, OPAG can go back and check it, but roughly only about 10 seconds is now the gap that he has ahead of these guys on corrected time. He's got heat from behind from Jordan Ashburn. Looked like that was Liam Draper there as well. So now he has pressure from behind, maybe not able to run the lines that he wants to because he has to protect his position on the track.
Man, we talk about the quicksand effect. One mistake quickly turning into another and another. Next thing you know, you're over your head and could have the big one. So Davis needs to put the heart rate back down, try to lock back in and log in some clean lap time here, as I'm sure he's getting pit boards, getting told, hey, you're losing a little bit of time to those top guys. As 54.2 seconds the gap between the between our top XC1 rider and our top XC2, so that would put the overall lead. We don't know the exact time
I was
difference.
just going to say, we know it was 1:02 at the last race. We've seen races where it's 57 seconds. And just to reiterate, folks, while we get our official split time from OPAG, our producer Adam Gordon, we do know that the way this works, when the flag waves, they click a stopwatch right there on the starting line. They report that time back. It's punched into the computer, and the computer itself does the time correction from there. So the time between when the flag wave for XC1 and XC2, we're going to get it here in a minute, and we're going to tell you exactly. We know the physical gap on the track, 54 seconds. The question is, how long was it at the start? That's going to tell us what we need to know. Now we see Gus Reardon
making some moves, yeah.
He did check in 6th.
There went, I believe, Barnes.
So Barnes still there, and here is the battle for the lead on screen physically. Stu Baylor, all wrapped in foam. This guy is on a mission. Now the intensity really starting to ratchet up.
Kelly still just behind him, keeping him honest. As we'll wait and see the gap. All we at least have seen on camera was that Grant Davis was stuck. So, and look, listen to this. So, just got the official split from OPAG. Only 59 seconds, the official split between the first and second row. So, I believe he said 54.2 seconds the gap. That's going to put things less than 10 seconds in favor of Grant Davis.
Man, that's... whoo! Guys, we got ourselves a barn burner. 4 laps complete, 2 hours into this one. In all the chaos, we probably have talked about this, but here is Grant Davis on screen. Do we know for sure, have we gotten confirmation lap count on the race?
Have not heard, at least 6-lap race now being told from race control. So,
and we're at the 10-mile marker, so we're approaching the completion of lap number 5, meaning a white flag will be waving. Only one more lap and about 2.5 miles of track left for him to continue to, the pace that he's on is enough right now, but we're talking fractions of a second making a difference in every corner. It is just getting maximum speed everywhere around this Mason-Dixon racetrack, and that's exactly what this man on screen is doing, Stu Baylor, and he is being chased by the big 530 Ben Kelly. These two are pushing each other, and they are trying everything they can while racing each other to continue to stretch out the lead, the gap that they have over Grant Davis.
Man, so cool to watch the difference in riding style between the two of them. Stu Baylor just bulldogging, slamming into some of those faces as Ben Kelly's methodically riding on the side walls of some of these obstacles. And that is Grant Davis we're watching on screen just ducking back into the woods. So getting pressure, looks like, could tell possibly Ashburn behind him. And looked like Gus Reardon in our last shot as well had gotten around Cody Barnes and was in that 6th overall spot last time they checked in. So Reardon having a solid charge forward as well. Checking in back here at the mile 11 marker. And that is Grant Davis. And Jackson looks to be okay. I've got to wonder whether or not we had something beyond just getting stuck happen. We know that can sometimes cause a panic. Rider rides over their head a little bit and ends up forcing another mistake.
Yeah, the hand guards look to be in the same position, not seeing anything that really sticks out from what we can see from our camera shot. So
that was interesting. It looked like Ben actually took his hand off the handlebars going into that rut. Don't know, potentially reaching for a hydration hose or what. But wow, man, these guys are just giving it everything right now.
They sure are. Stu Baylor continuing to lead the way as we watch him through the trees. There he is, popping back out next to the Fitz.
Folks, if you're a fan of the Outdoor Motocross Nationals, this is very reminiscent of what we've seen in the number of the motos so far. The youngster, Jet Lawrence, just out there shredding, and the established veterans like Eli Tomac out there just pushing for all they have, trying to outrun the youngsters, and that's what these two here are doing. We've seen them battle for championships in 2020. We've seen them battle for race wins, but right now they're battling each other and also battling the rider they can no longer see, which is good that they've gotten away, because at points during this race, Grant Davis had the physical overall lead, but right now, again, Ben Kelly with the hand off, something there, almost looks like a hydration hose that he's reaching for, so knowing that they're probably coming to a white flag waving, he's doing everything he can to kind of re-energize himself to maybe put in one last charge to try to get around Stu Baylor and potentially try to stretch the gap out over Grant Davis.
Weaving their way.
Did you guys see the body lean on Stu Baylor against that hay bale? I mean, they're leaving nothing right now. It's a high-speed foot dab. Come on, guys.
Oh, Stu Baylor's down.
Baylor down, Ben Kelly on the charge. Baylor going to lose valuable bike lengths. We can't even really measure time.
Oh, and he's down again.
Oh, this is
not down hard by any means, but down.
Oh, that's a big time loss right there. And again, this is what we talk about. One little mistake, and we actually got to see a representation of that visually on screen. Connecting with that left rider, going down. Ben Kelly able to get around, Stu getting up, not fully having himself planted squared away, and again almost. This is right now, Stu Baylor is at a very pivotal point in this race. Is he able to gather it back up, or is this where he gives back valuable time to, nope, not Grant Davis just yet, but he lost at least 10 to 12 seconds with those very costly mistakes right there.
Well, and you got to wonder whether or not the battle between Baylor and Ben Kelly were pushing the pace between the two of them. Now, Ben Kelly all by his lonesome. He's in that race against the clock. 59 seconds. He has to be in front of Grant Davis.
And Stu Baylor sitting about 55 points back from Ben Kelly. You know he wants nothing more than a win here today, so it's going to be a barn burner here for Stu Baylor on this final lap.
And good job from those lap riders right there staying out of the way. And not really the fault of that one lap rider. Nowhere else he could go. He was trying to get out of the way and just wound up kind of hitting the sidewall of that rut and taking down your XC1 leader.
And that's how quick things change here in GNCC Racing. As we continue to watch here from the Yamaha Racing Live Drone, your leader on screen, the 530, your new leader, Ben Kelly.
New leader, old leader,
new old
possibly an overall leader. We'll find out here in just a matter of a few corners as he works his way ever so close to the finish line region, where he'll take a look over his shoulder most likely. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's just racing the track and racing forward. But he has now opened up a gap with the mistakes of Baylor. Look at the speed carrying into that section. He is on a mission right now.
You can see them starting to flirt with those outsides in that main line, trying to find real estate to keep pushing the pace. here in these off-camera sections. I'm killing these corners.
Guys, this is where Ben Kelly made his mark for so many years. Late in the race, he was able to just lay it down. Never been known as a sprinter. Never been a guy who can just hammer it right out of the gate. Rides into his comfort zone, figures out the track, figures out the bike, figures out his race plan, and then puts it to work. That is exactly what he's doing right now. Will it be enough? One more lap of action, and we are going to find out.
He's the Ryan Dungey of the GNCC world, the diesel.
The diesel.
Yep, warming up, and now he is letting it eat.
There is Davis, so he can no longer see Ben Kelly even close ahead of him. But let's see. Oh, Jackson?
He can see Stu Baylor, though. Baylor just a few corners ahead.
All right, timing and scoring has updated. Oh, look at this. Ben Kelly and only 12 seconds back is Stu Baylor, so that is not Baylor, no, just ahead of him. But as Grant Davis checks in, with 5 laps complete, he still has the lead, but we look at the elapsed time. 12 seconds is the advantage. So he somehow managed to pull back that much time. It was 2 seconds just a matter of 2-3 miles ago, and Grant Davis absolutely shredding and has made up 10 seconds on Ben Kelly ahead of him, and now has a 12-second advantage as the white flag waves in the hands of Ricky Towery.
Man, lap rider is going to be a big obstacle here on this last lap. We just saw Davis carefully kind of reroute himself at the last second. Man, this is going to be exciting. This is going to come down to just a couple of seconds. As we take a look at the last lap times, Grant Davis with a 28:12. Ben Kelly and Stu Baylor both dropping down into the 27 as we see Kelly on screen. And shout out to Gus Reardon as well, a 27:34 on that last lap. I believe that's the 3rd fastest lap.
That would actually still be the previous lap time. He has not checked in now on lap number 5 just yet. He's coming soon though. Guys, I'm checking my heart rate here. I was thinking it was going to be probably 220, and it's only 81. But I feel like it's 220.
Theirs is probably 220.
Jackson's is 245 because he has had 4 Red Bulls so far here today.
He's actually floating beside us with the wings.
Yeah, we got Day in the Dirt coming up soon here at High Point, so Red Bull out and about. I had to make the most of it.
I love that new flavor, the White Peach Summer Edition.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. All right, waiting on Davis now. Stu Baylor has made it through this mile 2 mark right on time. There he is. And Stu Baylor carrying a ton of speed. Not sure if you guys were able to catch that through there, but absolutely charging here.
Well, you got to think, Stu Baylor, I feel like he's a guy that, you know, at his best kind of rides angry, and if he wasn't already, I'm sure going to be a little frustrated with the get-together there with that lap rider, and going to be riding. This is what that foam's for. The soundproof foam is so that you can keep any comments muffled.
I can tell by the way that bike is hopping, skipping and around. That is the #1 machine of Grant Davis that we're keeping this live drone on right now.
Guys, if we look at our live timing and scoring, look at that, Davis just right on the ragged edge. We're watching your overall leader on corrected time, 3rd physically on the racetrack, Grant Davis. A big battle right now for that final podium position in XC1. Only 1 second separating Jordan Ashburn, who currently has the #3 spot in XC1, and Liam Draper, 1.5 seconds. So that is a wheel-to-wheel battle somewhere just off our Yamaha Racing Live drone, about 53 seconds behind the 2nd place rider of Stu Baylor in that XC1 class.
And we're going to take a look once again here at the crash that took down your leader, Stu Baylor. You can see on your screen, Baylor was trying to take that line around. The lap rider didn't know he was there, and unfortunately, it put Baylor down. But watch this, gets hard on the gas once again, and the front end just tucks. Do we talk about that mud starting to pack in on those tires? Just got a little heavy there for Stu, put him down another couple of seconds before he was able to get back up and rolling.
Yeah, so Stu Baylor now looking at things here about 25 seconds behind Grant Davis on corrected time, meaning he's about 28 seconds ahead of him physically on the racetrack. And you can see just how challenging these sections of racetrack are. This is that same section, if you were tuned in yesterday, where the ATVs were coming in. They were slamming that outside berm and standing up on the front wheels, almost going over the handlebars. It is just this dirt, these roots, so unpredictable. Such a challenging surface to race on here today.
Yeah, we're getting to see just that as we continue to watch here. There goes Johnson now out of our XC2 class.
And we'll give you the rundown here of, as it looks like now, 15 riders have checked in in their overall positions. We'll still get some shuffling of this as more XC2 riders check in. There is Josh Toth on the 206 machine. There is the 989 of Thad Duvall, who is currently sitting in that 12th place spot overall. Rundown: Grant Davis is your overall leader. Ben Kelly second. Jordan Ashburn third. We'll have the leaderboard here up in just a moment, but the gaps are what are interesting. Big gap for second place in our XC2. Grant Davis, 1 minute and 30-second lead over Gus Reardon, who has jumped up. And Cody Barnes back into that number 3 spot, only 6 seconds behind Reardon. Guys, obviously we have a phenomenal battle going for this overall, but how about those two? Have we seen any better battles than between Gus Reardon and Cody Barnes this year? I mean, it's been crazy to watch.
Yeah, those two are like Velcro. They are locked on each other, race after race after race. There goes Ben Kelly now on screen. Now taking a look at Stu Baylor.
Wide open on that Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. Carefully picking his way around some lap traffic as we pick him up here at the 3-mile mark.
And making his way through now up the hill. And taking a look for the number 1 machine. And that's him right there on time.
Guys, we always try to give a little bit of love to guys that are having kind of some standout rides. One rider we absolutely need to shout out right now, not currently on the podium in that XC2 class, that this man on screen right now is leading, Grant Davis, but Brody Johnson, 4th place in that XC2 class and sitting in the number 8 spot overall. I don't think this will be a career best. I think he may have had a 6th or 7th overall at one point in his career, but this would be an absolutely phenomenal ride for Brody Johnson on that privateer-backed. It's a local dealership helping him out on that Honda machine. He's out there absolutely shredding in that XC2 class. Everybody's shredding in that XC2 class because they're chasing after this guy right here. Your overall leader on corrected time, Grant Davis. He is just pushing the pace and forcing all of these guys to pick up the pace to try to run with him.
Well, and don't forget, if he is your overall leader, he's your overall points leader if they finish like this as well.
It is right now with a 4-point margin he will have over Ben Kelly if it finishes the way it is.
Those times you see on your screen going to be the elapsed time for our riders when they checked in, Grant Davis and Ben Kelly.
So just about 12 seconds, the difference. This is where Grant got caught up just about a lap ago, top of your screen. And you can see as the rest of our riders having some issues as well. Probably made them feel a little more validated if Grant Davis had issues in that same spot.
Guys, let's build the hype. This was the section of racetrack that defined our winner, our overall winner yesterday. Hunter Hard, just behind this gentleman you see struggling to even get his machine upright. Keep the tires on the ground. He's tired. This is a rough racetrack. Just those ruts that you see kind of, if we can get Jackson to circle those over there on our teleprompter, or NFL style here. Yep, so right here where that rider is going, if you go straight up where that rider just went, that is the super long, easy way. And the ruts here coming up towards our camera are the faster, harder way. This is where really the race was decided yesterday. We're getting ready to enter this section. What will Ben Kelly choose? What will Grant Davis choose? Stu Baylor, everyone. This could prove to be a very pivotal moment here in this race.
Well, and for the most part, we have only seen riders taking that shorter, arguably faster way. We did see Lyndon Snodgrass in the early stages of the race try that other line out, but really didn't see it pay off. And look at that, sneak attack. Ben Kelly is through just like that. Yeah, that was exactly how he needed to hit that section. Let's see what Davis does if we stay at this camera shot until he comes through.
Stu Baylor will be coming through first, so we obviously have to keep an eye on his line choice as well. You can see these riders taking a look back saying, that guy who just came through was on rails. That was your physical overall leader. Here comes Baylor right up the main line and taking the quickest way through this section. No troubles for Baylor through here at the 5-mile marker. Now we'll wait and see just how far back. We're going to implore, we're going to beg our producer, Adam Gordon, to please get us a time split as they come through this section and get us an update. 12 seconds was the advantage for Grant Davis as they checked in at the white flag, and he should be coming any moment. Tick tock, tick tock.
And there he is.
Whew. Off the back fender and charging hard. So clearly Davis trying to reel that gap back in. OPAG on the calculations for us.
Watching Davis here.
weave his way through some lap traffic.
Shoot. Just railing those ruts like he is on a moto track.
Yeah, he sure is. He's going. That's about all you can say about Grant Davis. He's got it figured out, no doubt about it.
I like that, Jackson. He is definitely going. He is going.
Say again here, Adam Gordon reading us. So 50.12 the gap, and
it was
59 seconds.
59, okay.
Was the split
all right,
between
so he's got
rows
about
1 and
8
2.
seconds. So Ben Kelly has pulled back about 3-point-something seconds, close to 4 seconds on Grant Davis after they have checked in at the white flag. So although Davis still has the lead on corrected time, Ben Kelly is now the one that the pendulum is starting to swing back his direction.
And this has been a good one here today. Parts Unlimited Mason-Dixon did not disappoint.
As it stands right now, guys, I know we love to just have the hype when they cross the finish line. Looking like we're going to have to wait. We are not likely going to be able to declare a winner until Grant Davis himself crosses the finish line. We're going to have to watch that time gap so closely.
Man, this is going to be fun. It's coming down to the wire. Who will take the overall win? Ben Kelly. We'll throw Stu Baylor still in that mix, running up towards the front after a collision with a lap rider. And then, of course, Grant Davis trying to track them down. Your XC2 leader trying to remount after getting stuck. They're through with the pits. And there is the collision for Stu Baylor. He's back on the charge, trying to chase down Ben Kelly, who's trying to stretch out 59 seconds over Grant Davis. Can Grant Davis take home another win? We're going to find out shortly right here on RacerTV.com.
The Blackwater 50-year reunion celebration is coming to Davis, West Virginia on Monday, June 23rd. Here's your chance to line up on the iconic Main Street of Davis for an epic photo and video opportunity with the Blackwater film crew. Then after the lineup and photos are taken, we will meet at the Riverfront Park for food and drinks from our friends at Siriana's Cafe. Join us on Monday, June 23rd after the Snowshoe GNCC in Davis, West Virginia.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back here on RacerTV.com. And yeah, some cool stuff going on over there in Davis, West Virginia, just after the Snowshoe GNCC. Well, we've been talking about the battle, right? Ben Kelly, Grant Davis. They've been the two going at it, and 1 point apart there in the series points as well. So we had to ask them about each other, and we were able to catch up with Ben Kelly and talk about his championship rival right now, Grant Davis.
I think it's just the evolution of the sport. Like, they're just a lot better. You know, when I was in XC2, I battled with Josh Toth a lot, and yeah, we would fight for overall podiums, and like, yeah, we'd be leading the race early on, but then halfway through, like, the guys back then, like Caleb and Thad would always, Stu and Strang would always just pull ahead of us, like, kind of no sweat. I just don't think I was in as good of shape and just not as good of a rider as like Grant, Gus, and Cody, and all those guys are now. Like, those three have been really killing it this year. They've been consistent, they've been fast, they've been strong, and I mean, at this point, like 250, it's not like a feeder class. Like, there's no age limit. There's no limit other than bike size. So, yeah, like those guys, those three guys, say you go to another series, a National Enduro or a Sprint Enduro, like they're racing in the, some of them are racing in the pro class, like the open class, and winning those races. So you just have to respect them for how good they are. And I think it's just, yeah, they're just good riders. They're on good programs, and like those three, even Josh Toth, who's been an XC2 champ and raced an XC1, like overall race winner. Like there's a handful of guys in the XC2 class that could line up on XC1 no problem and fit right in and battle for wins. We saw like Liam do it last year. So they're just good. They're just more guys to add into the mix.
They've added themselves into the mix here today as Ben Kelly continues to lead the way. Stu Baylor in second physically, and then your overall leader the last time we were able to see him check in, Mr. Grant Davis, putting himself up in the mix.
I like the point that Ben made there about, it's not really like a stepping class anymore. Yeah. It's bike size. The age doesn't matter. You've got guys that ran. Oh, is that Strang? Josh Strang stuck.
WB, back to it.
That's our new WP suspension guy too, by the way. He's in the trenches.
Yeah, he's
replaced Leon. Used to work with WP for years for the KTM team, as well as Gas and Husky guys. So yeah, WP suspension earning bonus money out there. Yeah. He gets an extra $100 for every bike he pulls out. I don't think that part's true, but
hey, if we see him walk up to somebody and then just throw his hands up, we'll know they got a different suspension.
Yeah, so that's it. Man, maybe right here. He's not running WP, so he's like, nah, bro, you're on your own. Come see me trackside, I'll help you out, but right now I can't.
Yeah, that's an extra add-on with the suspension. You get trackside service.
Yep.
So.
Man, what a race. Johnny Gallagher had to step out. His heart rate got too high. He's going to rehydrate with a Red Bull and be back with us to close things out. But, yeah, this has been crazy, and I heard Johnny pointed out this is one where we normally hype up, the guy who comes to the finish line. This is one we're going to have to pause and wait. We'll still hype him up, but this is the hurry up and wait situation as we got to see where Grant Davis checks in with, what'd you guys say, it was like 9 seconds less than?
Yeah, about 8 seconds or so. So the gap last we heard was about 50-point-something seconds, and then 59, the official split between XC1 and XC2. So, yeah, we're talking about less than 10 seconds we're playing around with. We're trying some different strategies here.
Things are getting wild.
It's the wheelie wizard there.
It's this thing over.
Oh, okay, WP's getting in there. Oh, man, tangled up everywhere.
Probably a good time to remind the folks at home, these are A and B riders, and they're no slouches. This is just really, really tough conditions. I'm sure there's people in the comments section at home sitting on their couch eating pork rinds saying they could do better. We race in snowshoe in a few weeks. Come join us and give it a shot.
Yeah, you should have gone outside there.
Yeah, like the comments for Cooper Jones and that nasty wad up he had. We were talking about that off air. Everyone's an expert in the comments section.
We talk about not doing things justice. I feel like that camera showed you just how fast these guys are going in some of these sections. That's the age-old moto thing. They don't like to jump. They don't go quite as fast as us. You're crazy. These guys are, fourth, fifth-gear tap, wide open. And, man, glad Cooper was, for the most part, okay after that one, because that was a scary crash.
A good point. Like, apples and oranges, right? Moto, off-road. But when you have guys like Ryan Villapoto, Damon Bradshaw show up to, like, an Ironman GNCC, and not just they raced an ATV too, by the way, but when they are talking about how insane and fast the pro guys are going through the woods, and there he goes, our leader, Ben Kelly, 530 out in front.
So I was just saying, y'all were talking about Pro Moto there. I want to give a shout out to Mason Simmons. We saw him racing with us earlier this year. I believe 17th at the Pro Motocross.
Yeah, I think Dante Oliveira also out at the last round as well. So it just goes to show the speed. We've seen Caleb Russell line up in an outdoor motocross national as well, and they're no slouch. And then at about 30 minutes, they're looking at a checkered flag thinking, what? What do you mean, 30 minutes?
There's Stu Baylor, guys, and look, missing the back fender on that machine.
Well, yeah, I did see it looked like the fender was crushed a little bit when that lap rider went over. So I thought maybe it was really weighed down, but I think it might have actually been cracked from that crash. And now we see Grant Davis getting some lines there.
Yeah, and there was some patience or maybe some hesitation there by the 514 Stu Baylor trying to make sure he picked the right line. We've seen how that, that's why Grant Davis back in the 3 position, getting stuck in a line, is just rutted out. So still 1, 2, and 3 physically on the track.
So getting an update here, 44.13 seconds the gap. Grant Davis starting to pull things back his way as 59 seconds the gap needed by the XC1 boys if they want to take that win back.
So Ben Kelly's got to get on it. He's got to push and make no mistakes. Grant Davis has just got to make no mistakes and stay right about where he's at. But we know the young gun, the Playboy, he's going to push. So Grant Davis, still your leader on the overall as far as adjusted time. We are under 10 minutes away from tying a bow around this one and calling it a day as Jackson Burrell and Zach Heron going to dip out of the Racer TVA studio, head down to the finish line to get a word in with our top three. And in what order that is going to be yet to be determined. But right now, as of our unofficial stopwatch, advantage Grant Davis.
Yeah, Grant Davis just on a charge right now. We obviously saw him have his struggles in lap number 5 after being physically in the overall lead, dropping back, and was very near at one point, had lost enough time that he had just about, there is your leader on screen, physical leader, Ben Kelly. We think at this point, you can see that right there, that was a time gap. That's telling him what he needs to do. At this point, if you're Ben Kelly, obviously you appreciate the updates, but this is an all-out sprint to the finish.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we're seeing on screen. Everything he's got, he's throwing at it. Same with Stu Baylor, same with Ben Kelly, all these guys, but especially these three that are battling for this overall lead right now. Right now, Davis just about most likely can see Baylor in front of him in some sections of racetrack, so he likely knows he has him covered, but he's relying on those pit boards also to figure out how much time does he need to continue to push to make up on, or is he already to the good against Ben Kelly? Again, no rear fender for Baylor. You can see the mud starting to pile up. Yeah, you can. There you go. Got him in his sights. He's locked on.
Stu Baylor got that Ronnie Mack rear fender ripping in the second place. Talk about a man who's earned the P2 today, and Ben Kelly on screen, looking smooth, looking fast, out front.
Smooth, looking fast, and looking for a checkered flag in the hands of Ricky Towery. This will be the end of this one, folks. 6 laps of racing, 2 hours and give or take probably 42 minutes or so. Look at this. Now Baylor taking a look over his shoulder, and at this point, to say what the kids say, he knows he's cooked. He knows he's got 59 seconds of a disadvantage to the rider that is basically right on his rear wheel. Doesn't mean he's going to give up. He's definitely going to keep pushing, and there is Kelly now through at the 11-mile marker, meaning less than 2 miles of racing action left. There is Baylor. There is Davis. These guys about 44 seconds behind last we were told, but we are going to let the scoring software do the math on this one, folks. We're not going to count because we are not official. We're just calling the racing action. Oh, boy.
39 seconds. So Davis, not taking anything away from him, probably benefiting a little bit, being right there behind Stu Baylor as Baylor is pushing hard. The best thing that could happen to Ben Kelly at this point, he can't worry about it. I understand that. He's just got to push out in front, but almost these two getting into a battle.
That was a big send there from Baylor. He tried to jump over that big hole that's developed from all the acceleration coming up out of that valley. But the best thing that could happen for Ben Kelly right now is if Stu Baylor would have a mishap or slow down the pace, that would benefit him. But at the same time, I don't think Stu Baylor's going to be in Ben Kelly's corner on this one. I think he's fighting himself for these positions, and I don't think he's going to I don't know. We'll see how he plays this out. Will he let Grant Davis around? I don't see it happening.
I don't either. There's some pride there, that physical finish for Stu Baylor as well, and he's probably thinking in the back of his head, if Grant has made some mistakes. He is as great as he's been, and if you could pick on one little thing, and I think every great rider goes through this. We saw it with Bryce Neal on the four-wheel side, where he was so good at figuratively 100 miles an hour on a race day, but he'd always have that one little mistake. Grant Davis is still making some of those mistakes, albeit not as many as he used to, but he does still sometimes, because he's going so fast, work himself into a mistake. And at this point, that's probably what you have to almost not wish for, but that's probably what has to happen if Ben is going to get a first overall or if Stu Baylor is going to get a second overall.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only thing with this amount of track left that could reverse this, now approaching a 20-second, about a 21-second advantage that Grant Davis has been able to claw back over this rider on screen, Ben Kelly. He is not going to even care. He's not going to look over. It doesn't matter what the difference is. He is sprinting for a finish line, trying to get his elapsed time as quickly as possible, and then he'll watch, and then he'll wait and see if he has done enough.
Gets around some lap traffic right there, playing patient. 5-3-0. Ben Kelly out in front, riding on rails right now, and we can hear him from the TV truck buzzing past us. Not much further to go for the 5-3-0. We're keeping the clock on Grant Davis in that physical 3 spot just behind Stu Baylor in the 2 position.
I think we're going to see Grant Davis try to throw caution to the wind, not necessarily knowing how much of an advantage he has on corrected time. I think he's going to try to make the pass physically on Stu Baylor, because he won't be able to live with himself if it's a second or 2 and he didn't try to make the pass. So that could come into play as well.
It's an overall championship they're fighting for. Ben Kelly needs these points. Only 1 point ahead coming into today. He needs those bonus points. And then on the flip of that, Grant Davis is like, yeah, well, Mikey, guess what? I need them too.
So this is how this pans out, folks. Depending on who is able to grab the win here today, if Ben Kelly can get it done, if he can claw back those roughly 18 seconds that he needs, or sorry, 21 seconds that he needs, he would then leave here with a 6-point advantage over Grant Davis. If he's unable to do so, Grant Davis is able to maintain his physical or his lead uncorrected. Did Ben Kelly just go down?
I think Ben just went down. He's not popped out of the woods. Mistake by Kelly.
There you go.
That is going to be costly for him. Will maintain the physical lead, but that is going to hurt him.
Yep, that's going to be a few more seconds, probably 3, 4, 5 seconds there that he just gave up, and that could end up looming large here in just a few more corners when he crosses the finish line. But if Grant Davis has a lower elapsed time and wins this overall, he will then have a 4-point advantage over Ben Kelly, and this is it, folks, coming down to the finish line.
Here we go. Ben Kelly going to bring it in for a win in the XC1. Where is Grant Davis? Last we saw, he still has the lead as far as adjusted time. But for the moment, little tap right there. Ben continuing to push into the finish line. And, Johnny, you can tell by the body language right there, he's looking back. He knows. And now he wonders, was it enough?
You know, that...
and I think by the body language, he knows, I don't think it was. I do not think it was enough to hang on for the OA.
I mean, with Grant already having roughly a 20-second advantage before Ben had that miscue just 5-6 corners from the end of the race here. Look at this. Grant has gotten around Stu Baylor.
Unless Stu pulled away somewhere and Grant made a mistake. But looks like Grant Davis just physically second on the track.
Agonizing seconds.
No, he is third. That was
agonizing seconds if you're Ben Kelly. We don't even know what to think.
Yeah, and
refresh. Here comes Grant Davis. Checkered flag waving across the line, sprinting right through the scoring beacon, and
Grant Davis wins the Mason-Dixon GNCC.
11 seconds in the end. Folks, with an elapsed time of 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 1 second, 11 seconds after near 2 hours and 45 minutes of racing is the difference. You can see Grant Davis throwing the goggles down. He's just been told, you got it done again, kid. 2 races in a row. It is an overall win for Grant Davis. He doesn't look happy, which interesting.
He said, I should have won that overall on the track. Getting some words of encouragement from his mechanic, Andy.
That's dangerous right there, folks. He just won the overall and is upset because he feels he should have physically won the overall, getting it done by 11 seconds. Grant Davis, second overall win of 2025. And the new, again, points leader. Earlier in the season, he was the points leader, and now he is once again the overall points leader. 8 rounds into a 13-round series. This kid, we already knew it. Yeah. But he's just proving it again, is the real deal.
He said, I passed him and buried it. It's just sick. You cannot say enough about this young man. And somewhere out there on the track, the 557 Ampro Yamaha is reluctantly smiling to himself.
No, there's no smile. There's no smile.
Reluctantly, well, not reluctantly, but helped create. Because comments like that out of Grant Davis that we caught of happy that he gets an overall, but saying I should have had the overall lead on the track. This kid's dangerous. Johnny, you were off air as we wait to get these interviews set up. You guys can interject when you need to, but we were talking about, and Ben Kelly actually talked about it when he was in the XC2. We may continue this thought in a moment, but there was a year where Ben Kelly ran an XC2, the round right before Snowshoe. He ends up on an overall podium. I'm up there with him and Caleb Russell. Caleb Russell gave that signature kind of corner of his mouth smirk and said, well, when we get to the mountain, you don't get a time adjustment. And Ben kind of shook his head and nodded, and it was a mano-a-mano race at that point, and you could kind of tell in the body language of Ben, like he was up to the challenge. I think the difference between that era and now is Grant welcomes that. He's like, yeah, let's go, row one. I'm ready. Zach Herron standing by with Grant Davis now.
Well, guys, it is a dangerous spot to be in if you're getting the overall win on adjusted time and your first comment is, I should have had him physically. It is incredible. Grant Davis, man, take us through it. You just made the pass on Ben Kelly. We see you get stuck in what was clearly a brutal section. You're able to charge back, keep it under the 59 seconds you needed to, and grab this overall win, man. Take us through it.
Oh, I got off to a good start, and I got to the lead real fast, like the third turn or so, and then I pushed really hard, got to the back XC1, started picking off the back guys, and got behind Ben, and I just took it easy a little bit. Me and him were riding together, and he started picking off some XC1 guys. I lost him for a minute, got back to him again, and then me and him were 1 and 2 out in front. He made a little bobble, and I'm like, I might as well go for it, and I sent it past him, and led for like 5 miles maybe or so, and I felt really good, and got stuck and just lost a bunch of time and got passed by Ben, Stu, Jordan, and Liam, and I had to pick my way back through. Got back onto Stu here right at the end again, and I tucked the front about half a mile from the finish line, and I'm like, oh no, I thought that was it, but I didn't give up, and overall points leader now.
I was about to say round 8, now in control of the overall points lead and going to Snowshoe. Not going to have that time adjustment. Going to be lining up on row 1. How are we feeling about it?
I'm ready. I don't give up. I know that. I'm tough, and I'm not going to give up easy on this overall championship.
Hey, well, if there's any question of that, you proved it today. Grant Davis, once again, your overall winner.
Not give up. Dude, you're in control of it at this point. He's in the driver's seat, Johnny.
At this point, yeah. I mean, he's so impressive. We're running out of words to explain what Grant Davis is doing. All we can say is, wow.
It's been fun to watch. Standing by for that interview with Ben Kelly, who will take second on the day in the overall first in the XC1. Stu Baylor hangs on for a third in the OA. Angus Reardon, by the way, going to finish fourth in the overall, and Cody Barnes going to finish fifth.
Big push from those guys there at the end.
Big. And Jackson Burrows standing by with Ben Kelly.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Ben Kelly. Ben, second on the overall, first in the XC1 class. I know that's not where you want to be, but hey, if you're going to do it, if you're going to be in second, at least win the XC1 class. Take us through it.
Yeah, I'm pissed because, I mean, I didn't have a good start, and like I was just struggling to get going through the pack, and I mean the track was hard, and I mean of course XC1 was right on us, or XC2 was on us from the beginning, but yeah, I don't know. I got in the lead and I was trying to make a push, but Grant still caught me, passed me, and I just was right on his wheel, like on the second to last lap, and he got hung up on a hill, and I like popped out of the rut and got in front of him, and yeah, I tried to charge away, but then of course I got balled up in a spot and Stu went around me, so then I dropped back to second, third overall, and I just kept fighting, finally got by Stu. At one point he crashed in front of me, and there's literally only one good line, so I had to wait like 10 seconds for him to get going, and then we got going again, and shortly later he tipped over again and I passed him, and I just charged. Grant was super close to me, but I was like, it was going to be super close, and of course, like quarter mile from the finish, I freaking fell coming down the hill through these gnarly ruts, and yeah, of course I fell, and I hear he fell in the same spot, but damn, just a few seconds and missed that overall, so yeah, just not happy, but is what it is.
Hey, this one seems like it put a fire under you, Ben. How do you feel heading into round 9?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, I rode freaking awesome today. It's just hard on races like this, being in that lead pack. Like I said, those XC2 guys caught a minute on like the first or second lap, and by the time they catch us, we finally like get the flow, but they already have the flow, and everyone's going fast, so it's like you got to make your passes early, and yeah, it is what it is. I rode freaking awesome. I just got beat today, so yeah, keep trying and try to get that win at Snowshoe.
There we go, guys. He's in rare form. That's Ben Kelly.
Mikey, one thing to take away there. He kept saying how close it is, how close it was, how close it was. Take a look at those last lap times for Grant Davis and Ben Kelly. You want to talk about close?
Holy smokes, 26:57.6 for Grant, 26:57.3 for Ben.
3/10 of a second separating those last lap times, and 10.5 seconds separating them at the finish line. 10.5 seconds. We said 11. 10.5 is what we're at. Is the tail of the tape after 2 hours and 44 minutes of racing.
It's absolutely insane. I believe Jackson Burrell standing by, or maybe Zach Herron with the 514, Stu Baylor.
Yeah, we were a little timid approaching Stu Baylor. We saw what he did to his back fender. Stu, take us through it, man. An unfortunate situation. Genuinely don't think the lapper meant to be there, but we saw you get collected in it. Just take us through what was still an incredible ride, but I know that one was a bummer for you.
Yeah, definitely. That whole last lap, my race was kind of dictated by the lappers. I still felt good. I had plenty in the tank. It just, man, it's like it was just the wrong time. I was just at that distance off of BK where when they would pull over, they were falling back into my line, and I got collected by 2 or 3, and just literally in one lap. So it's tough when the conditions are like that. You know, you're just slot car racing, and everybody's aiming for the good marks. But yeah, I took over the lead, and I took a breather. I was like, okay. I saw Grant made a pretty good mistake. Some lappers tangled him up down, I want to say around the 5 with about a lap and a half to go. And from there, I was like, all right, he was in a bad position there. So I knew it would take him a while to get going. Took a breath of fresh air and then started pushing, and I knew Ben was right there on my tail, and I was like, okay, we can probably push this gap back out. And then yeah, just had that one tip over in the mud, and then follow that with another. You guys got to see that on camera, and then there was 2 or 3 more instances on that last lap where it's just making pretty costly mistakes. But yeah, part of it. My gloves were slick, and it was all I could do to hold on. But man, it was still fun. I enjoy this place. I've always done well here, ridden well here, and felt good today. Just yeah. Is what it is.
Everybody's starting to get into an attitude of snowshoe. We're talking a lot about the time correction there for XC2, at least for Playboy, as you guys like to call them. That's going to disappear in snowshoe. Do you think that's maybe going to change the dynamic a little bit between those top XC2 guys in the front of XC1?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. Like, obviously, Grant's been riding really well, but, you know, it is a little bit different starting up there. But, you know, I know he'll be moving to XC1 next year, so it'll be a good time for him to see where he is on that front row. But, yeah, that's of all the venues that we race, I've wanted every single one except that one. So, yeah, it's that one's the one that's eluded me. So hopefully I can come away with a snowboard.
A little extra chip on the shoulder. Stu Baylor walking away with a smile on that overall podium.
And what a ride from that guy today. I mean, we saw him overcome so much adversity and just keeps pushing. You know, all heart, Stu Baylor, that was his nickname back in the day, and proving it again today, just fighting tooth and nail right down to the checkered flag, ending up P3 overall. Valuable points for him in his quest to try to gain a national championship. But that guy right there, shirt off, hair blowing in the wind there, you see to the left of the camera. He's the man of the day, the man of the hour, and so far, the man of the year.
Yeah, he has been. It's just down there talking with Kyle Wolf. I think we're probably, I don't know, were we getting more interviews? Adam Gordon with Gus Reardon took 4th in the OA. Sounds like maybe Angus Reardon may have went back to the KTM pits. Cody Barnes took 5th. And then, of course, Jordan Ashburn is down there. Jordan getting 3rd in the XC1. And there is that, what was, I suppose, rear fender of Stu's bike.
Looking like maybe he had a run-in with a great white shark out there, the way it just took a chomp out of the rear end of that machine. But getting it to the finish line, and great finish for him with the final podium position overall.
Oh, take a look at the Specialized race recap. There is Ben Kelly getting himself ready and dialed, and 557, Caleb Russell. Tough break for Caleb. Get to that in a moment, but boy, as this one took off, it was the 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass grabbing a whole shot and an early lead. As we see Ben Kelly there into the pits, and Ben trying to just take control. Not a great start by Ben either in this one.
Yeah, and you can see at this point in the race, Grant Davis had actually gotten to the rear wheel of Ben Kelly, then actually gets around, takes over the physical overall lead, and then as things progress, Ben Kelly able to get around back around Grant Davis when Grant Davis has a little setback, and then this is when things really started to get heated, Mikey.
Yeah, it's just it was chaos for the hurry-up-and-wait game as we watched the clock and had to compare as Ben Kelly, the 5-3-0, he knows what's at stake. He had a 1-point lead coming into today and just tried his best. How many times, though, Johnny, are the XC1 guys going to be left with nothing to say, but it is what it is?
The frustration is building for sure, and this is the man who's causing the frustration right now. A lot of XC2 riders going fast right now, but none quite as fast as the big green number one of Grant Davis. You can see the frustration of his own, saying, I wanted physically to win that race. I should have gotten it done on track. He got it done on corrected time, and that's what scores the points, and that's what puts him 4 points out front in this overall championship here in 2025.
Taking a look at the top 10, Davis, Kelly, Baylor, Reardon, and Barnes round out the top 5. Only 2 XC1 guys in that mix. Ashburn with a 6.08, Draper after a strong start, 7th. Ricky Russell, Mike Wachowski, Josh Toad rounding out your top 10. Johnny, observation on Grant Davis. The frustration at the end of the race, I think by some might be, can we kill that music possibly? The frustration by some seeing that might be, oh, it's unsportsmanlike, whatever. Why are you throwing a fit? You got the OA. Dude, that's the kind of things you see out of champions. I've always thought from an outside perspective there's a difference in a rider and a racer. There's a difference in a racer and a pro. There's a difference in a pro and a champion, and there's a difference in a champion and a multi-time champion. And that's the kind of body language and behavior we've seen out of things like Walker Fowler, Caleb Russell, Bryson Neal, where they're not just satisfied with the win. They want to break you, and that seems to be the demeanor that Grant Davis has.
Yeah, I've often said, and this is my own personal assessment, that champions they live in rare air, and frankly, they're not well-adjusted humans. The things that they say, the things that they do. As a
professional athlete, that's fair.
No, I'm being honest.
You're correct.
I think so many elite athletes are too well-adjusted of humans to have that, frankly, arrogance, that sense of entitlement that they build into themselves with all the work and all the sacrifice, and they are upset when it's not perfect. Yeah. Grant Davis winning the overall today, upset because he didn't do it physically, because he made one mistake that ultimately cost him the time that Ben Kelly was able to get back around, still winning the overall and holding himself accountable. I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's insane. And Grant Davis, maybe you're not a well-adjusted human, but you are absolute delight to watch on a dirt bike, and I'm glad to be GNCC racing.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, and in a few weeks, he's not going to have the time adjustment. I think that's a challenge he welcomes with open arms and snowshoe.
Yeah, I don't think he's shying away from that one bit. He said, "Hey, I'm not afraid.
No.
Let's go."
No, he's ready. And then the question mark will become, when does he jump up to the XC1? We're going to start stirring the pot. We heard Stu Baylor comment on it there at the end of the race. Next year he's moving up to XC1, so only time will tell. Will he jump up early? Well, we got more Racer TV broadcasts coming up. We got, as mentioned, we're heading to the mountains. Snowshoe GNCC on the 21st and 22nd. And then the Bagger Racing League for round 5 and 6 heading up north to South Haven in Michigan, the 28th and 29th. Well, on behalf of Jackson Burrows, Zach Herron, and Johnny Gallagher, our camera operators, Matt, Leah, Josh, Adam, John, Kirsten, and Adam, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, moto filmer, Brian Risch, manager, Dan Reinhart, our official spotter, Mike Holbert, our second engineer, Jack Renner, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our replay operator, Cameron Cotter, our director, Don Hampton, our producer, Adam Gordon, and our executive producer is Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes, and you've been watching GNCC on RacerTV.com.